Register at lifepointlaw.com. That's lifepointlaw.com. Or call 253-838-3454.
She and Ursula agree to disagree.
When I think of Seattle, I think about a really thriving place.
I think it's going to be hard to overcome that perception of being unsafe.
Weekday mornings at 11:06 on KIRO News Radio.
Steel, walk-behind, zero-turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow. Provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. A big change at the White House involving one of President Trump's closest advisors, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Here's Linda Kenyon.
President Trump says he is nominating Mike Waltz to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. The president also announced Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as interim National Security Advisor. Waltz was ousted from the Trump cabinet this morning, and then several hours later, the move to the UN was released. President Trump's first pick as UN ambassador was New York Republican Representative Elise Stefanik, whose vote in the House was considered crucial to advance the president's agenda.
Analyst Larry Sabato.
Most people thought Waltz would be fired in the week after Signalgate, especially when we learned that there was more than one. This was a continuing controversy, and Trump usually likes to cut controversies off quickly.
CBS's Ed O'Keefe at the White House on the president's decision.
Well, it sounds like a promotion, or at least gives him a landing spot. This administration has signaled from the start that they didn't necessarily consider the United Nations a serious organization or a job that they had to worry that much about. So it's a landing spot for Waltz, but it is in essence being put out to pasture because this, at least so far, is not seen as a priority for this president who's at the UN, given that he's trying to make so many changes in foreign policy unilaterally and really shake up the global order.
A federal judge ruled today that the Trump administration cannot use the Alien Enemies Act to detain and deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. On Capitol Hill, Democrats have a resolution to rein in the president's immigration moves. Senator Chuck Schumer.
Donald Trump is deporting American citizens with no due process. A threat against one, it's a threat against all.
On this Mayday, a lot of protests are focusing on the plight of immigrants, as Brandon Eisen reports from Chicago.
Thousands of unionized workers from all industries demanding advancements in ongoing contract negotiations toward better wages and working conditions, representing 50,000 workers across the Midwest, service workers, janitors, security officers, airport and residential workers. President of SEIU Local 1, Jeannie Castro.
I think the message today is that immigrants are essential. They're the backbone of our economy. They're certainly the backbone of our city.
Brandon Eisen for CBS News, Chicago.
In Israel, officials say a wildfire that shut down the main road from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv is now under control. It had threatened the city of Jerusalem itself. 3 Palestinians have been arrested for allegedly starting it. The numbers have been off all day on Wall Street, up and down, not by much, but slightly. The Dow currently ahead 233 points. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
We're looking at COVID-like supply chain problems, what this is due to coming up. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, A crash has been moved to the shoulder of southbound I-405 at State Route 527. You are backed up through the Canyon Park area right now. Construction on State Route 18 has you bogged down from the Tiger Mountain Summit to I-90. Overall, though, travel times are good. Everett to Seattle, half an hour. Federal Way to Seattle, 25 minutes. Renton to Bellevue, 20, and your lake bridges are clear. Traffic brought to you by Seattle Sports. Download the Seattle Sports app to stay in the know with the latest news, scores, and opinions about your favorite teams.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. Washington U.S. Senator Patty Murray is warning about a shock to the nation's supply chain. She says we're already seeing this at ports up and down the West Coast.
Less cargo at our ports means less goods for our truckers to transport, and that ultimately means bare shelves for our retailers and the American consumer.
She says because of tariffs, the ports of Seattle and Tacoma say they expect shipments to plummet by 40% later this month amid the ongoing trade war. Analysts warn we're going to have supply chain problems that we haven't seen since the height of the COVID pandemic. The Washington State Patrol is searching for a 16-month-old taken from a Bothell home by a non-custodial parent this morning. Troopers say they're searching for 36-year-old Jessica Bassett, and they're concerned about the toddler's safety. We've put their pictures on mynorthwest.com. If you see them, call 911. The father of a Bellevue High School graduate is pleading for information in the death of his daughter at her California college. More from KIRO 7 TV's Deborah Horn.
Alan Hamill still struggles to talk about his daughter, 18-year-old Elizabeth, Liz, he called her.
She was kind. I really appreciated that.
The last time Liz was seen fully alive was on Valentine's Day. She and friends, students at the University of California, Santa Barbara, were celebrating at a local restaurant. Just after 10 o'clock that night, Liz left with a young man her friends did not know. Less than a half hour later, she had fallen several feet from a breezeway on campus.
She died several days later. Her family is searching for the young man she was last seen with. We have his photo at mynorthwest.com. A second arrest in a deadly shooting in Tacoma. A man was gunned down on South G Street in the early hours of Valentine's Day. Police arrested a 15-year-old that night, and now they've arrested a 16-year-old. Both face potential first-degree murder charges. A new option for people being prosecuted in Seattle for misdemeanor drug use or possession. You can skip jail if you follow certain steps.
The steps include signing an agreement, taking a drug use assessment, completing a drug test, and have no criminal violations for 60 days. The city attorney's office can proceed with mainstream court proceedings if the program's steps aren't met. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs in the low to mid-70s. It's 62 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Is it, though? Is it all new? Is it Jake and Spike? Hi, Spike O'Neill here. Jake Skorheim is having to take a day today for a tummy trouble. I'm going to just tell you all the truth. Jake Skorheim's taking a personal day. He's having a little health issue at home. And he offered to come in and vomit right on us and share with the group. We asked him not to. In fact, Human Resources barred him from coming in today. I'm kidding. We hope he feels better. My very good friend and longtime Seattle broadcasting icon, Rockfish.
You did not use the word icon introducing me. Holy moly.
Sure I did. Host of KSW Metal Shop when it mattered. When it was good music.
There's lots of people that would debate that. But hello.
How are you, man?
Thanks for having me again.
My pleasure. Good to have you back in the chair with me. I know it was quite an effort for you to get here. Because, a couple things. You can, Nick, bring it down. There you go, my friend. Thank you very much. So I was like, we're still bringing you live. Hi, everybody. And by the way, Laura Scott is also out today. And we've got Jacob Rommel producing the show today. So it's kind of an early edition of the Three Amigos today. I kind of like this. This is nice. Nick at the board, of course. So it's a men's club today. You know, Heather will come in and do the news.
There's many boys in here as Jake has kids.
That's why Jake's sick. To be honest with you, Jake's children go to school. They collect germs, not in a science capacity, but in a medical capacity, and bring them home and share them with Dad and the family. Yeah, absolutely. Rockfish and I have known each other for decades, literally 35 years or longer, right?
Way too long.
So when I say you had trouble getting into work today, it's not just because they've closed down the parking on the block surrounding the KIRO studios today. We've been experiencing renovation, civic investment, citywide in the city of Seattle, and especially right here on East Lake Avenue. They've been putting in, I think, new sewers is what they're putting in.
I don't know. They're just messing up the streets as far as I'm concerned.
And this week they've taken away what limited parking we have to do another side spur on one of the cross streets that meets East Lake that borders our station. And there's no parking literally for about a block and a half from the studio today. No public parking, I should say.
Now, is this temporary?
For the month of May.
Because just north of the studio, on the west side of the street, I know what a permanent no parking sign is, and there's several on the telephone poles there.
Yeah.
So is that going to be permanent no parking?
Yes. If I trust the city. When they tell me something, I trust in what they say.
All right.
I say that because you literally had to park quite a ways away today.
I did.
And usually it's for a young broadcaster, it's no big deal. You hop, you skip, you jump, you're here. But you, my friend, you had a recent medical procedure. Right? You don't mind me bringing it up?
No, not at all. I'm very happy about it. I had my right hip replaced, and I'm 10 weeks post-surgery, I think. 10. So, and everybody told me hips, not a big deal. Knees, completely different story.
Really?
And I have to agree, the hip has been fair. Well, I haven't been keeping up with my therapy as well as I should.
Your PT is part of the post-surgical recovery,
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's vital.
Why haven't you?
I'm a lazy son of a gun. There's all there is to it. I'm
it's
lazy.
It's not a scheduling problem. It's not...
Well, I mean, I'm a busy guy, right?
You work like 4 or 5 jobs, right?
I do all kinds of crazy stuff.
I know you're a man that's... when I called you an icon, I wasn't kidding, and you're so involved in the community. I know your boys went to school up in the Shoreline School District, same as my kids did.
Go Scots! Yeah.
Oh yeah, go Rays.
That's right. You're a Storm Ray. I forgot.
I'm a Storm Ray because the Shorewood. I don't even know what We used to have an indigenous based name that is no longer acceptable in a respectful world, a woke world, and the Shorewood High School had to change their mascot. Much like it's funny. My older child, Ryan, my first, went to Bishop Blanchette when it was the Braves.
Now
and they're the Bears.
Bears, yeah.
The Bears. And the Thunderbirds of Shorewood are now the Storm Rays.
Storm Rays.
Thunder
and
Rays.
What in the world is a Storm Ray?
It's a stingray with a lightning bolt for a tail.
Okay, gotcha.
They were very creative in threading that woke. And you know me, I love woke. I think woke's a great thing. They threaded that woke needle. Anyway, I say all that to say this. You're very involved in the community. You call ball games.
I do soccer, track, football at Shoreline Stadium for both Shorewood and Shorecrest.
Yeah, and you also work in a private contracting capacity.
Yeah, I do a company called National Barricade, and we basically are responsible for,
taking away your parking.
In certain instances, taking away your parking.
Yeah,
yes.
all those signs that told me we couldn't park here for a month. You put those up.
I used to put those out. I'm now in the sales department, but yes.
You moved up.
I moved up.
You couldn't haul the signs anymore?
Actually, yeah. Getting in and out of that truck 80,000 times a day was wearing on my hip. But I've noticed, all the no parking and it's essential at times because, my story was we'd have to get a crane downtown on 4th Avenue to put up, a new heating unit or whatever on one of those tall.
The crane is the official state bird of Washington.
Exactly.
Again, right?
So you got to take the no parking. It's just all there is to it. And I told you that when I came in earlier, I said, when I'm out doing my job and I put up no parking signs and they have to be up 3 days in advance, 72 hours in advance, nothing gives me greater joy. And I'm sorry if you've had your vehicle towed in the past, nothing gives me greater joy than to call 911 at 3 a.m. and have your vehicle moved from the place where my crane needs to be. We're talking $10,000, however much it is an hour for a crane.
Right. This is construction company, heavy equipment movement.
Yes.
These are hundreds and hundreds of jobs that are required or that require access to the job site, which requires parking restrictions on the general public. And we're talking about signs that are out for days.
Yes.
It's not like, you show up in the middle of the night and tow a guy's car without he should have been warned. He knew better. There was a sign clearly posted.
Yeah. And if I could give you a little word of advice, don't just move the sign, because when we put the signs out there, we take pictures of them. And if we get there and your car is parked there and there's not a sign there, you're getting towed anyway. Whether you moved it or your neighbor moved it, that's just all there's to it.
And there's signs all up and down the street. We've all seen these signs all around town.
Yes.
All the time. Because parking has become a diminishing commodity in Seattle. And that's due to several factors. There's a story we had on My Northwest earlier in the week, about a week ago today, that Seattle is losing parking revenue because Seattle's losing parking places.
But it's not just because of me and my company.
It's not just you and your company taken away. No, I mean, and there are issues in parking situations in Seattle. Did you know that parking rates change seasonally? For example, there's like surge pricing on parking.
Well, that makes sense. Just like flights and everything else, right?
Yeah. When the demand is high, pricing the city adjusts pricing accordingly. Because when I say Seattle's going to lose revenue from parking, it's to the tune of like $250 million over the next 2 years. The city knows with projections. And it's not that we know what construction is going to be taking away space, but they've eliminated lots of parking availability.
Dozens of lanes that used to be parking lanes. Are now bike lanes.
Yep.
And I'll stop there because that seems to be, and I know downtown by like the back of my hand. Mm-hmm. I've driven down there for 18 years for my company, and it's my philosophy, and it could be I could be way off base here, but I have the opinion that Seattle does not want people driving downtown. I feel that like they've taken away so many public parking spots, places on the street to park. I think they want you to stick to a bus, Uber, bicycle, light rail.
Yeah.
I don't think they want you driving downtown. That's just my opinion.
Well, I don't think you're alone in that perception. I think they've made it pretty clear, and I think until they make it painful for us to bring our vehicles and park downtown, we're going to stick to the old ways. We were talking before the show about the lack of parking downtown, and there was, in fact, Heather Bosch had a story earlier this week about how the perception in Seattle is that it's safer to go downtown than it was a year ago. People are becoming more comfortable in coming downtown. There's numbers to bear that out. But I'm not going to go downtown.
That surprises me.
It surprised a lot of people when the numbers came out. Mm-hmm. But there have been efforts by the city to make downtown more approachable, more safe, more well lit. They've redone the waterfront.
Oh, the waterfront's beautiful.
Right.
They did a fantastic job down there.
And there's less empty retail spaces downtown. They're doing what they have to do to try to bring the city back to pre-pandemic numbers.
Okay.
But the elimination of parking, I think you're right. They want to make the city a greener city. They want people to use the public transportation that they've invested in expanding, whether it's bus lines or light rail that runs now through the city, all the different things that they do.
I mean, we talked about this before. I use light rail when I have to fly out of town. I use the light rail from Shoreline to the airport.
Yeah,
I'm not going to take it downtown. I don't want to take it to a Mariner game because I'm sorry. I want to get in and out. You know what I mean?
And you don't mind paying exorbitant parking to do that. That's a choice you're willing to make.
I have a secret, actually, Spike.
Don't tell it on air because everybody will know your secret, and then you'll blow it.
I was just going to say we have a company lot down on 4th Avenue that I have a key to, so I never pay for parking.
If you'd like to park at the Barricade Company,
just text me at
888-973-5476. And we'd love to hear your input into the show, by the way. Anytime you want to chime in on the subjects we're talking about, 888-973-5476. Also, now you can watch the show live on YouTube. We have a Jake and Spike Show YouTube channel, and we're broadcasting live visually.
What?
Yeah, there's the camera over there.
No way.
That's you, the cute guy, and I'm the ugly one next to you.
I should have shaved.
You should have. But we also have live chat with the YouTube followers who are watching the show live and getting that multi-media experience. And, of course, we when we're done with the 3-hour broadcast daily, Monday through Friday here, Jake and Spike Show, not so all new anymore. You can watch the YouTube channel at your leisure at any time.
I do.
You can listen to the podcast. You can watch the YouTube channel. Jacob, you're of a different generation than Rockfish or I.
Yeah.
I think that I am an antiquated. I like my car. I like the liberty, the independence, the freedom of making my own schedule, A to B, like Rockfish says, getting downtown, getting back. I'm not going to commute downtown by public transportation, even though I'm a very earth-friendly, green, New Deal, liberal, blah, blah. I'm not going to go downtown and shop and catch buses and trains to do so and then come back for things. You know, I don't meander downtown. I'm not going to spend the day sightseeing downtown. I'll go and do touristy things downtown when people are in town to do it.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to bring my car. Is that antiquated? My generation's an antiquated point of view? Does your generation have a different perspective about parking in Seattle and losing parking in Seattle?
Yeah, listen, I don't want to tell anyone they're antiquated. I find it just.
What if we admit to being antiquated? It's not you telling me. I know. When I get out of bed every morning, rock for this new hip. I wish I did. I know I'm antiquated.
I find it fairly stressful to try to find parking in the city, and that's why for me I prefer using light rail, or I bike around a lot. Like I've got a couple options that I find just A, more relaxing, and B, I feel a bit healthier if I've used my body to get somewhere as opposed to driving.
So you're saying physical activity, fresh air,
less
parking fees,
less expensive,
better economics, better for the planet. You're not winning me over.
Here's something that I find very interesting, and I would love to see numbers on this. But I have some people in my family, not immediate family,
peripheral,
in their early 20s. Still do not have driver's licenses.
Yeah. It seems like that's more common, and I think we might have a story we'll get to later. But it does appear that Gen Z, younger people, their college experience was kind of stunted by COVID, so they didn't have like a really. They're getting to a lot of different things a little bit later including
life,
going out drinking on a consistent basis, driving. Some of these rites
they
of
need
passage.
to get their priorities straight.
Yeah,
I want them people on trains and buses. I don't want them in cars.
Exactly.
So launching later, you think, or getting these cultural milestones later in life?
That seems to be the idea. At least when it comes to drinking, they're coming to it a little bit slower, but they are getting there. It's just kind of it's like the 25 is the new 21.
Wow. Well, I promised myself I wouldn't use the W word again, but my daughter got married, and we had the wedding this last weekend. My daughter's in her mid-30s. And her and her husband now, first marriage for both of them. So people are doing things later in life.
Yeah,
it happens across the board. Let's change gears, ironically enough, and let's talk about. There's a story we got it from KIRO News, and I think we have an audio about this, some tape on this too, about the recycling plant in town. There's a company called Recology. I'm not sure if anybody happens across the board. What am I hearing?
That's my bad. Keep going.
I'm hearing an echo of myself. I know I shouldn't have taken those till after the show. I kid Bonneville Broadcasting Company. I am not using performance enhancement drugs. So this is some audio about the evolution of recycling in our community.
Yeah, this is his name is Justin Johnson. He talked to KIRO. He's a Recology operations manager, and he's talking about how the robots are helping them.
Anything that comes in the blue bin gets screened out into different grades. So we'll have cardboard, we'll have paper, we'll have aluminum cans. AI is more accurate on detecting the material that it's going after.
And then they also asked, this guy's name is Arib Malik. He's a co-founder of an organization called Glacier Robotics. He's the guy kind of behind this
evolution of robotics.
Yeah. And she asked, well, is this really better for the environment?
AI uses a lot of water and energy, though.
So when you say AI, we think a lot about ChatGPT and LLMs. Those are not the type of AI we use behind me in the machine. The stuff we have behind me can actually run on a phone like the one in your pocket. It's designed to be very efficient because we know the impact of AI is real. We want to make sure that our products don't have a negative effect on our society.
So we're talking about the act of physically separating recyclables. Because the benefits of recycling are beyond arguing now.
Okay.
It takes 83% less energy to recycle aluminum into a new aluminum can than it takes to have the raw materials to make an aluminum can. So recycling is good.
Okay.
Glass, but separating recycling, we have the luxury of throwing everything into one blue bin. When we lived inside the city of Seattle limits 20 years ago, we had to physically separate our cans, our bottles, our paper.
Okay.
We had 3 separate.
Now it all
bins.
just goes in one.
Now it
blue
goes
bin.
into one bin because there are employees. And this is the point I'm trying to get to. Employees at Recology who do the physical sorting of this, and these folks make anywhere between $25 and $37 an hour
to deal with trash.
To deal with recycling, yeah.
That's not enough money.
In this town, probably not to afford to buy a home, but these are not bad paying jobs.
Now I'm confused. Pizza boxes, where do those go? Do those go in the yard waste or in the recycle?
I usually compost them. Yeah.
Okay,
because
compost.
Anything that has like food
and
that you can't get rid of.
Pizza
yeah.
grease and stuck cheese.
Yeah,
You throw it in the compost bin. The green bin, not the blue bin.
Yeah, the
clean cardboard goes in the blue bin.
Okay.
Unless you can take it back to Amazon like my wife does by the truckload. But if they have AI come in and robotics come in, I don't know how sure the numbers on Recology, how many employees they have in the Seattle area, and they're not all sorters. And you're probably only losing maybe a few hundred jobs, but that can be impactful.
At least they told Como that they are not letting anyone go over this. That they've been able to move people into other jobs within the company,
like washing the trucks that bring the stuff in. That's one of the jobs listed there. Maintaining the equipment. Well, that's good. At least it's not putting people out of work. Because my biggest fear of AI and robotics is that it's going to cost us jobs. We're in a weird place in American culture about what work is and what work is important and what work matters, what work can be eliminated through technology. There's talk of bringing back the production age of America, and that's great. If you can find a great job working at a production company, a plant, or whatever it might be. But there's reasons we had technological evolutions. So people didn't have to stand in front of looms or mills all day long and stand on their feet and sweat for a living.
Yeah. I'm with you. As long as it doesn't affect, the workforce negatively, I'm all for it.
Recycle, get some robotics. I know when you get stuff from Amazon, that's all robotics. They have those robotics at the distribution houses. They have very few humans there at all. They have robots running around. They have little warning signs and play music so they don't run you over, the few humans that do work there. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about something culturally. Meghan Markle, right? The Prince Harry's. I don't know if they're prince and princess anymore. I think they were decommissioned. Or they've been cast aside by the royal family because they don't like her. Meghan Markle's doing something for her kids that I think is pretty great. We'll tell you about it when we come back. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Rockface sitting in. We'll be right back.
This hour is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino.
Seattle's trusted news source, KIRO Newsradio.
Today is Mayday, and Seattle police are preparing for the annual marches through downtown. It's possible more demonstrators take part this year, the first Mayday under President Trump's second term.
This is Nate Connors. If things get hairy out there, I'll have you covered with traffic every 10 minutes on the 3s, all afternoon during your ride home.
Coverage you depend on. KIRO Newsradio. On 97.3 FM, the app, YouTube, and your smart speaker.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. You may have known us for our unique cabinet refacing projects, but I'd like to introduce our full bathroom remodeling service. New tub, shower, floors, counters, and of course cabinetry. Same commitment to quality and value, same full service, just another way to serve the folks of Puget Sound. Call today for a free in-home consultation. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
Hi, it's John Curley. Longevity Medical Clinic has been helping people live longer, healthier lives for more than 25 years. I've recently talked with Dr. Mixon about his approach to proactively focusing on prevention. Dr. Mixon, I first met you in 2009, and I went in there and I told you I wasn't feeling well, couldn't gain any muscle mass, couldn't sleep well, I was stressed out, and you looked at me and you said, yeah, I know what your problem is.
And all we did was we measured your values and we moved your values back to those of a nice, healthy 25-year-old man.
I have taken your blood work to my doctor, and he was shocked. He couldn't believe the depth in which you study my blood.
We need to draw a distinction between living a long time and getting old. And that's what longevity is all about, is we are here to do the measurements and help you fix those problems.
So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
Hartley Wilcox here from Wilcox Family Farms. A question we get asked a lot this time of year is, how do the hens stay warm when it's so cold out? Of course, we have nice barns to protect them from the rain, wind, and snow. But also, their feathers are like a down jacket, and if they need additional warmth, they will often snuggle together. And for those very cold days, we have heaters to keep them comfortable and happily laying eggs. Wilcox is committed to organic, humane practices that keep our hens healthy and help preserve the land. When you choose food from local family farmers like Wilcox, you support the local economy with jobs and promote environmental sustainability, making it possible for our family to keep on producing great eggs for another 100 years. Pick up Wilcox eggs at Costco, Marlene's, and Hagen's. And for a healthy snack on the go, grab some ready-to-eat, pre-peeled, hard-boiled eggs in a convenient to-go 2-pack. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
Well, this is pretty fun for me. Normally, Shannon O'Kelly and I are talking physical therapy, but today we are talking First Mark Insurance. You made the call to First Mark. You took the challenge. Why?
Brock, I was looking for a local agency that I could align with similar values, and they've helped us here at IRG. They shop different plans. They find the best plan for you, the best price, the best coverage, great customer service, and great connectivity.
Did they save you any money along the way?
Absolutely, they saved us money. Obviously, here at IRG, I have several needs in the insurance industry, and they look at those needs A to Z, and they find out what kind of coverage you need, what is the best coverage, at what cost, and they're always looking to save money. And again, it's all about providing my company, IRG, great customer service.
Well, Shannon and IRG, they took the challenge. Molly and I, we took the challenge. Are you confident that your business is getting the very best when it comes to your insurance needs? If not, take the First Mark Challenge today, and it's totally free. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com, your teammate that goes to work for you. Firstmarkinsurance.com.
We know finding a company to trust with your home is a big decision and one we look forward to earning with incredible service, top quality products, and lifetime warranties. Adrian here, owner of Lake Washington Windows and Doors. Our windows are feature-rich with our sound package that reduces noise by 50%, clean glass technology, and added protection with our exclusive First Guard 3-layer security glass. Learn more about all of these features at lakewashingtonwindows.com. Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust.
KIRO News Radio, breaking news.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. A missing 16-month-old has been found safe. The toddler was taken this morning from a Bothell home by her mother, who does not have custody of the child. The State Patrol was worried about the toddler's safety, but again, she is okay. Her mother is in custody. Seattle's big Mayday rally is underway on Capitol Hill. Live to KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey, who's there. Luke?
Heather, I count hundreds of people here at Cal Anderson Park, most of them activists holding signs, and they're here demonstrating a multitude of causes and issues. There are a lot of union workers here as well. Union organizer Enrico Valdez, in the wake of the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration, is here to celebrate rights of immigrants, trans workers, and federal workers.
The workers here definitely need a living wage. They definitely need a voice at work. Federal workers need their jobs.
Less than an hour from now, demonstrators are supposed to march from here, Cal Anderson Park, down to downtown Seattle. Don't know the route today or, of course, whether or not demonstrators will become violent as they have in years past. Live in Seattle, Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Another person at that rally today is immigrant rights advocate Hilda Ortiz. Although she says the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration has spooked many in the community, even U.S. citizens.
I currently carry a copy of my children's passport and our passport just in case, because we're in a country and a situation that we don't know if we'll be the next. person targeted.
President Trump's tariffs have had a chilling effect on U.S. ports. The Port of Seattle expects a 40% drop in shipments later this month. Port Commissioner Ryan Culkin says less cargo coming in also means fewer U.S.-made products going out.
Port of Seattle is a major agricultural exporter, and when imports are frozen because of these tariffs, it means that we also don't have an opportunity to export those agricultural goods.
Culkin says by the middle of this month, you could expect to see higher prices and fewer products. Some retail analysts are warning of COVID-like shortages and layoffs. Trump National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is out. He's the one who accidentally invited a journalist to a Signal app chat about U.S. airstrikes in Yemen. Waltz and his deputy, Alex Wong, are leaving their jobs. Sources say it's due mainly to policy differences, not necessarily the app scandal. On Wall Street right now, the Dow is up 266 points. NASDAQ ahead 384. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in the Canyon Park area, a crash has been moved to the shoulder of southbound I-405 at State Route 527. Your backup is starting to disappear there. You have a significant slowdown on eastbound US 2 through Sultan. Unclear what's causing this, but it's construction on State Route 18 that has you bogged down from the Tiger Mountain Summit to I-90. Traffic brought to you by Lake Washington Windows and Doors. Spring into savings with double your discount, 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. LakeWashingtonWindows.com. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine with highs in the low to mid-70s. It's 62 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. Jake's taking the day off today. Hope he feels better tomorrow. Rockfish sitting in with us today. Heather, I want to ask you a quick question. You're a mom?
Yes.
2 kids?
2 kids.
Which one's your favorite?
Unfair question. I'm recusing myself as a mother from answering that question.
I'm kidding. But a study says that parents do have favorite children.
I think there are things that I like more about one child and other things I like more about that other child.
You are very tuned in to the results of this survey.
Oh, really?
Yes,
But
very much so.
Are your kids similar in any way?
Yes,
They
I
both
have to
look
say
like her.
there are some similarity. People actually used to think they
Were
were
twins,
twins
yeah.
because they're only 2 years apart. But yeah, they have their brotherly similarities.
Mine
right?
couldn't be further apart. I have 2 boys,
Yeah.
25 and 22, and they couldn't be any different if they tried.
Yeah, see, my personality, one is very much an extrovert and one more of an introvert type of thing going on there. So, yeah.
Well, I was going to save this to later in the break, but let's get into it now.
Okay.
Heather, thank you. You don't have to tell us which is your favorite.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I
tell
might
us.
sit in and listen a little. I'm intrigued now. I must know.
Well, there's a study out that says parents really do have a favorite child, and it's not the one you may think. Parents have what they call a parental differential treatment of their children, which means that they maybe cater to one more, they favor one more. One child that you've heard of, the prodigal son, the golden child, the one who can do no wrong. This kid could rob a bank, and he'd still be mom's favorite. That was me in our family. Often it's based in various different factors come into play. A birth order is a big one. Gender is a big one. And personality and ease of parenting. Difficult children tend to not be their parents' favorites, although oftentimes the favorite child is coddled, which can lead to more difficult parenting.
Well, sometimes the more difficult child gets far more attention too,
Exactly.
leading the other sibling to say, you like him best. But it's
Right.
like, well, this one's just taking
He's on fire. It's not that I like him. I'm putting the fire out.
Yes. Amen.
Right? Exactly. It's not that I like him. He's the bleeding one. I've got to take him.
Put the tourniquet on.
I've got to take him to the hospital.
You.
It's not a fun trip. It's an emergency.
The reason I asked if your kids were different is because I think it would be easier to have a favorite child if one of them was more like you.
That's one of the factors in this study.
Okay.
Absolutely
Really?
so. Yeah, because the personalities of the children tend to take on certain traits of the personalities of their parents.
So do you like the one that you think resembles you more? That kind of thing?
That's an interesting...
Resembles me more? I'm
In
so
personality-
sad that one of them does resemble me more than the
Not
other.
physically, in personality and characteristics.
You understand them more because they're
yeah.
more similar to you.
I do. One is...
You've got 2 boys, Rockfish, and
I
they're
have
how
2
far
boys.
how far apart in age?
3 years, 22 and 25.
Okay.
And one is in his last couple weeks at University of Arizona. Very independent, both incredibly great kids. I mean, we are, everybody says it, but I'm the luckiest dad in the entire world. I have to be. But without saying I have a favorite, I just have one that I can relate to.
Yes.
Easier.
I think so. I think that is true.
And I love them both equally. And there are certain things about one that I admire that the other one doesn't possess, and vice versa.
But you still love them.
Sometimes
you have to. It's in the laws.
You love them. Yeah.
Well, the study was done by sociology professors at the University of Alabama, and other schools contributed to this research. It says that parents often prefer the same gender child. Mothers prefer daughters. Fathers prefer sons. To your point about they have the personality traits that were reflective in you. Now I raised 2 daughters. I now have a transgender son. I have one of each, but I did raise 2 girls. I raised 2 princesses in my life, and it's funny because my 2 children have different aspects of my personality. My older is more gregarious, more outgoing, more confident, I would say. But my little one's confident too. But funnier, more brash, more of an entertainer. Now my little one is a theater major, very entertaining, very brash, very outgoing. But my youngest is much more, how do I say this kindly, compassionate. More gentle, more nurturing, empathetic, nurturing than my older one is. So they each have, and I think both of those, I hope that those are both personality traits, different sides of, both different sides of my personality. And my 2 kids have taken on different aspects of my personality, I think, which makes them more individual. But the main thrust of this study was that while parents have favorite children, they will never admit it, or they should never admit it, because as you said, Heather, when one seems to be getting more attention, whether it's because out of necessity, he's the one that's more trouble, so I got to spend more time on him. The other one does seem to resent it often, that they feel like they're not getting attention, and often they will act up or they will cause drama in order just to get parents' attention.
I think we lucked out because we are surrounded by a lot of family. We live right next to our in-laws, and they, they've kind of picked up the slack where parents can drop, the ball a little bit. Grandparents, there's no
are
favorite.
A gift from God.
Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I think that's the way the world always intended it. For children to be surrounded by a village. And we
multi-generational families.
Found that out during COVID when all these little families were kind of separated. Right. We need all our brothers and sisters and uncles and grandparents to help. Yeah.
Jacob, I apologize. I don't know about your personal life very much. You're a very professional young man. You keep things buttoned down. You won't talk to us off air.
Exactly. No, you don't need to know most of this stuff. I have 3 younger sisters.
Oh, and you're the eldest.
You're the oldest.
So that's right.
Goodness.
I am confident that I'm one of my parents' favorites, and also similarly
top 4 at least.
Exactly. Yeah. And similarly confident that I'm not the other parent's favorite.
I
think there's a split.
Interesting. Is there a gender
are you your dad's favorite?
I would say I'm confident that I'm my mom's favorite, and then I know who my dad's favorite is, and it's not me. Yeah.
Do you feel as a sibling observing these relationships with your parents and your siblings? Is it noticeable? Do you feel like he doesn't hide it, or he's not doing it consciously?
No. It doesn't manifest in any way that bothers me at all. And it's something that I probably, as a child, certainly wouldn't have been able to really figure out. It's more as an adult, and because I have so much knowledge at this point in terms of what I have in common or what my other siblings have in common with each of my parents.
Now I will say that I'm the youngest of 6. Okay. And I don't know that I'm my parents' favorite or was my parents. Both are gone now. I don't know that I was their favorite, but man, I had it made growing up.
Oh yeah, parents wear down.
Oh man.
And they mentioned that it's not necessarily that you're the favorite, but you might be getting the most attention because you're the baby of the family or whatever it is, and that does seem to factor into how people perceive favoritism.
This study was done by Brigham Young University, the University of Ontario, London, up in Canada, as I mentioned, Alabama. A lot of different factors went into this study. And they say that parents do have a favorite child, at least one that they enjoy spending time with, and one that they give more attention to, as Heather mentioned, because that's the one who's on fire.
Now, when your kid goes off to college for 4 years, that's a long time to be apart from them.
Yes.
So,
my kid went to college across the country too. Yeah. My little one stayed home. We see him every weekend with dirty laundry.
Yeah,
it's no big deal. I was the second of 4 But and maybe I'm just deluded, but I really think I was my mom's favorite. Because I was most like my mom.
Yeah.
I literally was most like my mom growing up. I became, literally a male version of my mom, I think, in her personality traits and the way she interacted with the world and my friends and the family itself. So
yeah, that's what I meant, is being a little bit more like that child. You can tend to relate to them a little bit more.
They share personality traits with you, and that tends to be the one you like best. But please, parents, never. By the way, if you're listening to this and you are your parent's favorite, or you've got a favorite child, you're a parent with multiple kids, and you've got one you definitely like, we'll keep it anonymous. Text us right now, 888-973-5476. We would love to hear from you. How do you hide having a favorite child from the other siblings? Or do you bother? Or,
I hope my son texts in because I want to know what he feels about it.
And I love how you didn't say which one was your favorite. You were very careful about that. I'm really proud of you because
I don't know that I have a favorite. I don't have a favorite.
It's hard to say I have a favorite either. I like both my kids. Of course, I love both my kids, but I generally like both my kids too.
One does seem to have less of a problem picking up the dog mess in the backyard. He's my favorite.
Okay. So we didn't get to one story that I really wanted to get to, but we'll move that further down into the show things. I really want to get to the story of Meghan Markle and what she's doing for her children, which I think is wonderful. But coming up next, you're not going to want to miss this. It's a story that's taking the world by storm. Who would win in a fight? A silverback gorilla or 100 men? I kid you not,
That's taking the world by storm?
I cannot believe how popular this question has become.
286 million views of the video I was telling you about.
We'll have more of it when we come back. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Rockfish. I'm right back after these.
Jason Rance here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. So, Greg, not all tax resolution companies are the same. There are some that are definitely not local. There are others that don't quite know what they're doing even.
Well, I tell you, these ads that all of us hear, Fresh Start program, they make you feel like, hey, man, I can just easy peasy get my taxes written off. No. And I've had several clients actually come to me after going through that process, and they just get no response after a while. They're passed around from person to person. That doesn't happen at my firm.
You are familiar with the cases that come in. You're working on them.
I'm familiar with every case that comes into our office. And I know what's going on and have the ability to really advise our taxpayers very well on what to do.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. None Better Tax Resolution, from stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out, because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hi, my name is Rajiv Nagaich.
Ever since I became an elder law attorney more than 20 years ago, I've helped thousands of people in the Seattle area retire with more confidence about their future. I'd like to invite you to one of my retirement planning seminars this month. Learn how to protect your estate from long-term care costs. Live out your years where you choose, even if you get sick, without becoming a burden on people you love the most. Learn how to use the Safe Harbor Trust to protect your estate from threats most people overlook. Come to the seminar and I'll show you how it's done.
Join the free seminar in Federal Way on May 13th, Tacoma on May 15th, or Bellevue on May 17th. Register at lifepointlaw.com. That's lifepointlaw.com. Or call 253-838-3454. 253-838-3454.
Hey, it's me, the foul pole at T-Mobile Park. But it's about time they call me the fair pole, because those are the moments I live for. When Cal's up to the plate, I'm always on high alert.
The big dumper with a 2-run blast.
And then there's Randy Arozarena, launching missiles into the stands, flipping his bat so high it practically reaches my eye level.
Blasted back, Randy Arozarena strikes again.
And J-Rod, heck, when he connects, he makes the whole building shake.
And it's gone. Goodbye, baseball. Julio Rodriguez.
So come on down and take a seat beside me. You might even go home with a souvenir. Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
The Mariners are celebrating Mother's Day weekend during a 3-game series May 9th to 11th. And on Mother's Day, Sunday the 11th, the first 10,000 moms will score a clear purse thanks to Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Then the action continues with a showdown against the Yankees May 12th to 14th. Get your tickets at mariners.com.
Guys, thinking about testosterone replacement therapy? Revive Men's Health can help you get started if you're ready to book your free T-check. Visit revivemenshealth.com. That's Revive, R-E-V-I-B-E, menshealth.com.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Spike O'Neill, sitting with my dear friend Rockfish, sitting in for Jake Skorheim today. It's the Jake and Spike Show. This story comes to us from the Daily Star out of London. And this is a story that's a question that's being asked, actually. And as Rockfish mentioned, how many? 285 million?
286 million views of some video. I haven't seen the video.
Well, first off, the video is AI. It's not, no one's actually filmed, because once you hear the story, you'll know it's how ridiculous it would be. But I guarantee it's just a matter of time before this becomes a reality TV show.
Gorilla Fight Club.
Yeah. So it's, who would win in a fight? A silverback gorilla or 100 men? And this, remember the story a few months ago that women would rather come across a bear than a strange man? Remember that story, Jacob? If you, women who are walking in the woods, would you rather encounter a bear on the trail or a man you don't know? And women, in a vast majority, picked the bear. Because because you know how a bear is going to react.
Yeah, it's going to rip your throat out.
No, well, not if it's what kind of bear is also another question altogether.
All right.
If it's a brown bear, there are ways to be safely interact with a brown bear. Well, if it's
a teddy bear, you have no problems.
A koala I could take,
Yeah.
But a man in the woods to a woman is a man in the woods to a woman. There's so many unknown factors, and there's deception involved and ill intent involved. So when they asked who would win in a fight, 100 men or a gorilla, people really seriously weighed into this question. It's like,
I think that's more important that people took the time to weigh into this.
This is a serious question. And obviously the answer is 100 men, but they've all got to be committed to it. That's the thought.
You go first.
That's exactly.
I'm right behind you.
The number one response was after you. You don't want to be the first guy taking on a gorilla because you are going to get savaged. But the overarching thinking is that between 100 guys, eventually, look, it's on. This same story is on CNN
That's
as we
remarkable.
speak.
That's so funny.
That's how good Jacob Rommel is. Jacob Rommel brought the story into the show, and on CNN, these guys make 10 times what you make, Jacob Rommel, and the exact same story.
That is amazing.
First off, it's ridiculous that we waste our time. All the world's problems are solved. Hunger, poverty, war, all gone. We can focus our attention on who would win in a fight, 100 men or a gorilla.
It depends if the gorilla is Coco and he's the one that Flea met.
How many bananas do you have?
Peppers,
There are a
and
lot
he
of
just played the
factors,
bass the
right?
whole time.
There's a lot of factors that come into play.
Well, when they asked, and CNN is talking to like the communications director for the Miami Zoo. When you talk to like animal experts, they basically say, gorillas aren't that aggressive. Like they're not interested in fighting 100 men.
If actually, gorillas are smarter than 100 men. Because a man is intelligent, but 100 men is a mob and they're morons. Like people in large mass lose intellect. It's a fact.
And aren't there videos of children falling into gorilla exhibits and the gorilla, kind of protects them?
You bet. Caught them, saves their life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, gorillas aren't monsters.
Yeah.
Until you can take them to Hollywood and spoil them and get them all coked up, and then they can see they're climbing buildings and swatting at airplanes. I kid King Kong. He was a great guy. But I have to ask this question.
It's a great guy. He's a fictional monkey.
Yeah, I know. He was a good actor. Should have got an Oscar for that. Here's my question, Jacob, and I'm serious about this.
Okay.
And Andrew, I know you're training new employees, but I'm going to ask you this too. In all seriousness, stop laughing. What's the largest animal you think you could take in a fight? I'm not all three of you. I want to know.
The largest I could take in a fight?
Yeah, if you were in the woods, in the wild, or in a city street, maybe it's a rat. I don't know. You're a seagull, and you've got a box of fries. What's the largest animal you could think you could take in a fight?
I have to factor in too the claws or the weapons of the animal as well.
Well, that's of course
that's
largest.
so many variables are in play here.
Absolutely, a honey badger, no shot.
Yeah, no way.
If pig, I don't know. I wouldn't even go against a hog. I wouldn't do that.
I got mine. Hog. Mine came to me instantly.
Let's hear it.
Giant sloth.
He's going to outrun
I am running circles. I'm hitting him on the left. I'm running over the right side. I'm popping him with my leg.
What's maybe fiercest was a better question than largest. And don't say hippo because they are. It's funny.
They're
people
vicious.
They're the number one killer of wild animals are hippos. They kill more people than water buffaloes, lions, the big five they call them in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I guess I'll say pot-bellied pig. Large pot-bellied pig.
He's going to rub its belly into submission.
Andrew's just hungry. Yeah.
How about you, Jacob?
Oh, I love animals too much to even contemplate. Any animal that wants to fight me, I will lay over and let it kill me.
Is that your tactic? Is to roll over and play safe?
I don't even walk through spider webs because I feel bad about.
And you, Spike?
I in a fight, I couldn't take a cougar. I wouldn't begin to think. But I think a big coyote I could probably take. And that's kind of a realistic.
Are there
for
big
us.
coyotes?
Yes, we see
There
coyotes
is?
up in the in our area. You live in the shoreline area.
Most of the ones in my area are pretty scraggly
pretty tiny and hungry looking. But I've seen big ones. I wouldn't say wolf. I'd say I'd cap my bravado at coyote. All right, that was a great question. And if you want to see the 100 Men versus Gorilla video, there's lots of stories. Again, CNN is covering it today. And again, the video is AI generated. No one actually wrestled a gorilla. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Mayday. It's Mayday, and our own Luke Ducey is down at Cal Edwards Park. The protest today. We're talking about protesting, about Mayday, what it means in Seattle's history with it, as well as a couple other big topics of the week. We'll be right back after these.
I saw her texting, coming up to a stop sign. And so I saw the accident coming and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines and I was able to sleep through the night. And that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025 or click soundpainsolutions.com.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund returning 9% has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at LegacyG.com.
Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. You may have known us for our unique cabinet refacing projects, but I'd like to introduce our full bathroom remodeling service. New tub, shower, floors, counters, and of course cabinetry. Same commitment to quality and value, same full service. Just another way to serve the folks of Puget Sound. Call today for a free in-home consultation. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
KIRO FM and HD1 Tacoma, Seattle. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There's been a big change in the president's cabinet. His national security advisor is out, as Linda Kenyon reports.
In a post on Truth Social, President Trump said, "I am pleased to announce that I will be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations." The president said that Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as interim national security advisor. Waltz was ousted from the Trump cabinet this morning, along with his deputy, in connection with the Signal chat where military plans were discussed. It wasn't until several hours later that the move over to the UN was released.
CBS's Ed O'Keefe on the many roles Rubio has now.
So he's Secretary of State. He's dissolving and merging USAID into the State Department. He's also the acting archivist of the United States because he had ousted the sitting archivist and has put Rubio in charge titularly. There's someone else running it day to day. And now he's going to serve as national security advisor. There is precedence for this. Henry Kissinger did it from 1973 to 1975 for Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford.
Iran says the next round of nuclear talks with the U.S. have been postponed due to what it calls logistical reasons. On Mayday, there are protests around the country. In Los Angeles,
the Trump administration should be paving pathways to citizenship and honoring their sacrifices.
Judges and lawyers were also out in force, as CBS News correspondent Scott McFarland reports.
There are at courthouses and city halls across the country, from Los Angeles to Philadelphia to Houston, Seattle, Minneapolis, protests or rallies today outside of courthouses from lawyers, in some cases retired judges, taking their oaths again to show devotion to the U.S. Constitution.
There is evidence that some popular drugs for diabetes and obesity may help people with fatty liver disease. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder.
In a study in which 800 people were followed out to 72 weeks with treatment with semaglutide, they found that almost 2/3 of people had a reduction in liver inflammation related to this fatty liver condition, and over 1/3 had a reduction in liver scarring.
It is the hottest Mayday ever recorded in the UK. It was also the sunniest April since records began.
I'm trying to block out the climate change, environmental side of it all, but the weather's great. It's hot. It feels like it's summer.
We deserve some summer as we've had such a cold winter, although it is earlier and it does make you worry about the environment.
It was a balmy 82 degrees in London. On Wall Street at the closing bell, the Dow is up 83 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We are live at Seattle's Mayday rally, but first from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. The light rail Roosevelt Station is closed right now and until further notice due to police activity. In Federal Way, you have a crash on southbound I-5 near Wild Waves that has you backed up to Costco and then onto State Route 18. Further up on 18, construction is what has you bogged down from the Tiger Mountain Summit up to I-90. Traffic brought to you by KIRO Newsradio.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. Hundreds have gathered for a Mayday rally in Seattle. Live to Capitol Hill and KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey. Luke?
Heather, most of the people here at Cal Anderson Park are activists holding up various signs, supporting various causes, and there are plenty of union workers as well. This year, in the wake of the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration, immigration rights is certainly an issue that is front and center. Jamie Fleming is with the Teamsters Union. She was born Canadian and is now a U.S. citizen, and she says now she always carries her passport.
I don't think it is safe for me to leave the United States, even though I am a naturalized U.S. citizen. Because I'm a union activist.
Less than an hour from now, demonstrators are expected to march from here in Capitol Hill to downtown Seattle. We don't know the route, and of course, we don't know whether demonstrators will become violent or not, as they have in the years past. Live in Seattle, Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
A missing 16-month-old has been found safe in Edmonds. The toddler was taken this morning from a Bothell home by her mother, who does not have custody of the child. Spokesperson Cam Johnson says police were worried about the toddler's safety.
What we knew was serious enough that all detectives, it was an all-hands-on-deck situation for our investigations team.
Again, that toddler is okay. The family of a Bellevue High School graduate is desperate for answers after she fell from a third-story breezeway at the University of California, Santa Barbara on Valentine's Day and died several days later. The father of 18-year-old Liz Hamill tells KIRO 7 TV he's searching for the young man she was last seen with.
He is the last person that we know of that had contact with Liz, and just if he has any information with respect to her last moments.
We have a photo of him at mynorthwest.com. The Washington State Patrol is testing out a new system which will deliver alerts to apps like Waze and Apple Maps when an emergency vehicle is approaching. The warning will also appear on some newer model vehicle dashboards. The program, called Safety Cloud, will be tested in the North Bend area. A Port of Tacoma commissioner warns it could take months to recover from tariff-induced slowdowns at West Coast ports.
Commissioner Dick Marzano says ports all along the West Coast anticipate a 40% drop in business by mid-May.
It's not a light switch. They can just turn it on and off. The uncertainty our small and medium-sized businesses are having are whether or not they're even going to be able to stay in business throughout the year.
And the clock is ticking, says Marzano, as companies look to stock up on back-to-school and holiday products. They need more clarity on trade policy. Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunny skies today with highs in the low to mid 70s. It's 62 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Spike O'Neill, sitting with my good friend Rockfish today.
Hello.
Jake Skorheim's taking the day off because he doesn't feel great, but we hope he's back tomorrow. And I swear it's nothing I cooked.
I'm available tomorrow, too, if he's not.
Great to hear, man. Happy May Day, everyone. Rockfish, May Day, you know the history of May Day as a holiday?
Do I know the history?
Yeah.
As of 5 minutes ago, yes. I did some research.
Did some prep? Tell us more.
It dates back to 1886 and the Haymarket Affair. Actually, no, further than that, but
it's labor, right? I didn't know that either until I researched for today.
It began as the celebration of the Roman goddess Flora, I believe, which is the...
You really did some research.
Well, at least part of the tradition of May Day goes back to the celebration of flowers, fertility, the beginning of the spring, transitions between spring and summer. But yes, as far as what we're concerned with today, yes, the labor market and
workers' rights.
Workers' rights.
Initially,
yes.
I think it was a postal strike, a national postal strike in 1886.
Actually, it was 1886. It's called the Haymarket Affair, and it was in Chicago, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Chicago, like 340,000 postal workers.
Yes.
Went on a 3-day strike because they wanted an 8-hour workday.
Yes.
We take so many things for granted in our current modern culture with regard to work safety, work hours, the fact that you're required to be paid more if you work overtime, of course, situations vary. But the 5-day work week, the 8-hour workday, worker safety, lunch breaks. Breaks for women who are pregnant women, whatever it might be. All these things are to benefit the working man in America and the working woman in America. And that's what May Day is a celebration of.
Yes.
And there are protests around the country today, including at Cal Anderson Park. Luke Ducey's up there bringing us reports as the day goes on. And it's funny, when the newsroom was talking about May Day today, they were worried about traffic impact on May Day because the crowd that's gathering up at Cal Anderson is supposed to march through the city, and they were not really sure how it was going to go.
Hopefully peacefully.
Hopefully peacefully. It hasn't always been the case in Seattle. We had a stretch in the mid-teens, 2013, I think it was, where the anarchy took over, and anarchists took over.
Yes.
Remember, there was property damage or window smash. There was one year, a couple years later, someone Molotov cocktailed a police car downtown. There were black, hooded, masked, not only say protesters, but anarchists. Their intent was to physical and property damage in the city of Seattle.
There was a KIRO Newsradio car that was lit on fire one year.
Oh, really?
Because the media were part of the problem. They weren't telling the truth to the people. And there was a series about 3-4 years in a row where police were really, a couple police officers, I should say, were hospitalized during one year in altercations with protesters or anarchists.
See, you're not gonna win me over with violence. That I have friends of mine that say sometimes you got to break a few eggs. Well,
stick to eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Breaking heads, not necessarily a good way to win people over to your side.
It's
or messing with other people's property. I'm a stickler when it comes to that, man.
I'll take it even a step further. When you block off I-5. Last year, maybe it wasn't last year. It was the year before, probably. I forget when it was, but when the Gaza conflict between Hamas and Israel was still new and still news on a daily basis. It tends to have, while it's still raging now, even in ways worse than ever. There were protests all over the place, and people would block I-5.
Was that where the young lady got killed? Was that a May Day protest? The guy blew through it was...
No, that was in Virginia, wasn't it?
No,
no.
You're talking about here on I-5. There was the on-ramp to I-5.
Summer Taylor, I believe. I can't remember. I'll look into that, see if it was made.
I'm not sure it was made or if it was a pro-Palestinian protest.
Possibly, yeah.
That's the one I was thinking of, where it blocks I-5. One day they blocked access to the airport.
Yeah, that messed traffic up bad.
When your protest, I understand the idea of protest is to get attention. Bring attention to your cause, media attention to your cause. The most effective way to do that is to become a news story, which has become an obstruction to the daily life of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of citizens in whatever city you're living in and protesting in. But to your point, Rockfish, I think it's very detrimental to the cause when you destroy property, when you injure others, when you turn to violence, and even when you impact those who don't don't not just share your point of view, but don't have the passion you have for your point of view. If you want to protest the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, or you want to protest labor rights, today's May Day protests are very much focused on immigration because of this new Trump administration's policies on immigration and immigrants, illegal aliens into this country. There was a report in the national news on our last news break that this administration would do itself well, if one point of view was expressed, to embrace the immigrant population in America who came here for a better life and for work, and to find a pathway to citizenship and a pathway to legal employment for so many people. You know, one of the protests that is being exercised and vocalized today is that there are people who have followed the proper pathway to America and applied for, whether it's asylum or whatever status you may be, protected status, that this administration has reneged upon, agreements made, promises made to these people, and they're being shipped out of the country.
And it's a lengthy progress. It's a lengthy process. It can take years
to do it right, do it legally. And we've all said from the last campaign through and for decades, when it's done the right way, we understand and we accept and we appreciate that we're a nation of immigrants when done the right way.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone's against, bettering the processes, modernizing the mechanisms of immigration, and realizing that this is a workforce that American success depends upon. The jobs Americans don't want to do is one of the oldest axioms of all time, right?
Yes.
I don't know a lot of people who are fighting for a 12-hour-a-day job, bent over in a field, getting agricultural products
I
from
hauled
field
hay
to market.
one summer. I don't want to do it again.
That's enough. Yeah, it's more. I've never had the pleasure, and I'm speaking somewhat in jest. It's not my job for me, but there are people who are happy to do it. And to the point of May Day, those people deserve fair and safe work environments, and that's what the protests are about today. And I don't know if I'd call May Day protests. Might not be the right word, but a May Day, a gathering, an acknowledgement that workers deserve proper treatment and equal pay and fair and safe work conditions.
See, my first experience with May Day was when your neighbors would bring and put flowers on your porch.
Yeah, that's the
was what I was
version.
alluding to earlier with the celebration of spring and the coming of spring and summer. I beg your pardon.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Let's turn our attention now to the Port of Seattle. There's a great story on My Northwest, and it's also about. And there's Oh, excuse me. I apologize. I've got my wires crossed for a second there. The story on My Northwest I want to turn to is not the Port of Seattle. It's the fact that, to our earlier point, there are worries among the immigrant community about taking part in today's May Day protests, because most of our immigration status neighbors and citizens of Seattle, people in Seattle, they're worried about attending these protests because of the Trump administration's policies and procedures, I should say, and a little bit of both, about cracking down on people who are going to hearings for immigration, people who are going to court dates for immigration, whatever.
They're in the process of trying to be legals.
Yeah, and people who are here, some probably without papers, they're undocumented, who don't want to go to these protests today because they're worried about being rounded up and hauled off and put into detention centers. And you've seen all the court cases that the Trump administration is facing for these folks. And
well, I mean, an example. There's a Filipino woman that was. I know she's going to be released now, but she been here 40 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I just read, and she got scooped up. Yep.
And there's numerous cases of that. But let's turn our attention now back. Let's get to the port. I wanted to do this story. If I could just find it, Jacob, I'm a little scattered. I have a little sleep deprived.
Am I throwing you off today?
No, you're fine. You're doing
my
great.
My iconic presence.
You're doing great, pal. So this is the story I want to get to. Seattle Tacoma ports face reduced cargo amid the tariffs that are in place now from the Trump administration. Tariffs that are being rescinded, negotiated. Trade deals are being negotiated with the Trump administration, that we're told, with countries around the world, because these blanket 10% tariffs have been issued globally by the Trump administration. Other countries are subjected to far worse tariffs, and China's still at 145, even though Trump said a couple days ago that he said that needs to be negotiated down. The real issue is that we see less cargo ships coming into the port, which means, as the report in the news said, there'll be less truckers taking these goods away from Seattle's port. There'll be less port workers. We're about losing jobs at the port because of less goods coming in because of these tariffs. And it's the uncertainty. And there is some a report that we have here.
Yeah, Nacomo's Michelle Esteban talked to some managing members of the Northwest Seaport Alliance about how the tariffs are impacting them currently.
And according to trade data that we got today, it's about 40% lower than what would be normal for this time of year.
What is that going to mean for consumers?
We want to be really careful that we're not creating any sort of undue panic. I mean, we're not going to see empty store shelves in our grocery stores or in vital needs for our families. But we will see areas like furniture, clothing.
Think of your favorite sneakers, electronics, computers, toys, and appliances.
You're going to see unemployment tick up. You're going to see inflation tick up. And with that, you're going to see a lot of families being hurt.
We're not going to need as many longshore workers unloading goods at the ports. We don't need as many truck drivers transporting the goods.
We're still, we're operating. We're still going to conduct business. It's going to be a lot harder.
You want to see empty shelves right now? No. Go to Dollar Tree.
Oh, really? Already?
Most of that stuff comes from China.
Yeah.
Without having, I believe.
No, you're right. It's low price goods.
They sell it for $1. And my wife has been there and said the shelves are absolutely empty. And I heard a report the other day, it might have been yesterday, the day before, they were talking to a gentleman at the port. He said currently there are 7 container ships at Harbor Island when there's normally, I believe he said, upwards of maybe 20. I can't remember.
Wow.
But they've, it may not have been Harbor Island, but 7 ships as opposed to, several dozen.
And that number is going to keep diminishing till it's none. If this situation with the Trump administration and tariffs and China in particular, and both seem to be very resilient, President Trump feels that this is a necessary evil. This is a period of necessary discomfort and disruption to right what he thinks has been an unfair trade practice with the world. Most leading economists I've seen disagree with the president. They think that a trade imbalance is not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean that we're being taken advantage of, as President Trump has portrayed this scenario. But to that report's point, this affects so much more than the price we pay for goods. It's the availability of goods, and it's the infrastructure. The people who are employed in so many facets, the ancillary and peripheral employment situations that are involved in trade, whether it's longshoremen who no longer have cargo to unload, truckers that no longer have cargo to haul, retailers that don't need to keep as many people on staff because they've got no goods to sell, stores that may close down, small businesses that may close down because they can't keep product production going. They don't know what to expect.
I would love to hear from a longshoreman or someone that is in this line of work via the text line that,
trucker,
maybe experiencing this already.
Are you worried? Have there been talks? Yeah, give us a text, 888-973-5476. If you're on the YouTube channel today, watching the show live on YouTube, pop into the chat and let us know. Have you received any information, any kind of forewarning from your employer that if things are prolonged in this trade war that we are in, it's being called a trade war, is your employment status up in the air? I saw a story that UPS had laid off 20% of its workforce because they anticipate less things being shipped in, less things being delivered, less things being purchased. We had the story yesterday about Amazon backtracking on the story from Punchbowl that Amazon was going to reflect tariff pricing increases on at least one section of the Amazon website, that Amazon Hall, which competes with.
I think he buckled on that though, didn't he?
He got a call from from the president himself.
Yeah.
And so that was never a company-wide policy. It had never been approved. It was being suggested and proposed by one of the smaller divisions at Amazon. But Temu, which is a very large retailer, it's an app on most people's phone. It's a direct from China digital retailer, and they have in their pricing an import tax that shows why a $35 item is now $75.
Oh,
and those are the things that are going to, if this tariff wars, these trade wars are prolonged and they're allowed to, if they don't get settled, and I hope that the president, who says he's the greatest negotiator who has ever lived, I hope it's true. I hope that these policies he's put in place, I want this to work. I don't want to see the guy crater and our economy with it and the livelihoods and the employment situation of our fellow citizens and fellow neighbors put in jeopardy because of these policies. I want them to work. I don't see that they are long-term, well thought out. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to see it fail. I don't want to see the economy crater.
Yeah, no one does.
I would love to hear from people who think that they may lose their job over the fact that the ports are going to close down.
I know that
they're going to slow down to the point of people losing jobs.
We use a lot of China steel at my company.
Okay.
For our street signs, street posts, things like that. So,
do you buy manufactured things from China? Pre-manufactured?
Just the steel. Just the
okay.
several different applications of steel. But
your company's directly affected.
We're going to see a major hit here real soon.
I hope it is settled quickly. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. I do want this president to do well. Speaking of someone who didn't do well, here's somebody who didn't do well. Vice President Kamala Harris, who I guess it's Groundhog Day. She popped out of her shadow and popped out of her hole and didn't see her shadow. So now we get 360 more days of or whatever it is. I'm trying to make a Trump joke. It ain't working. Kamala Harris, Tromala Harris. I've come to, that's what I call it, Tromala Harris. It's very bad for America. Kamala Harris made her first public appearance after laying relatively low for the 100 days since President Trump took office. It was a humiliating defeat for the vice president, the Democratic nominee for president, and has made her first public appearance and warning of a constitutional crisis. They're calling it the I Told You So tour. I'm kidding. They're not. But Kamala Harris was very outspoken with a crowd. She went out last night and spoke to some folks. We don't have any of this, do we? Do have some?
We do. I don't know that we have time to play it, really. We've only got
how long is it?
I've got a minute here.
Play it.
Instead of an administration working to advance America's highest ideals, we are witnessing the wholesale abandonment of those ideals. We are living in a moment when the checks and balances upon which we have historically relied have begun to buckle. And we here know that when the checks and balances ultimately collapse, if Congress fails to do its part, or if the courts fail to do their part, or if both do their part, but the president defies them anyway.
So this message was very similar to the one that was told by the Democratic side prior to the last election. They gave warnings about President Trump's intentions to be a dictator on day one, or whatever quote they were using and throwing around. It didn't work in the campaign. Now that people are seeing the Trump administration's actions,
game plan,
and the things that they have, the executive orders they've done, the policies they put into place, is this message going to work better now that people are seeing? Maybe it won't. I'm wondering, is the evidence now being seen on a daily basis of this administration's challenging of the judiciary branch, ignoring the legislative branch's ability to fund things, the president deciding what is worth our tax dollars going toward and not?
Who are you hoping that it's going to change the opinion of?
I guess Trump voters. That's because I don't think the Democrats have lost any of their base.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's going to happen.
What would it take? What would it take to? Because I've heard numerous reports from Trump voters who are still, hanging in there. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a while. We've got faith in this president and his ideas and his policies. But I've seen numerous reports of Trump voters, farmers, veterans who are seeing cuts to the VA, seeing cuts to Health and Human Services that are directly affecting Trump voters. Is it the actions? Is that going to be enough to change the mind of Trump voters? Or why is Kamala Harris bothering to come out and say this thing? Was this the kickoff of her 2028 presidential campaign?
Good point.
Only time will tell. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to shift gears, talk a bit more about life itself and about working with your best friend.
Oh, thank you.
It's not about you.
Oh,
well, but that kind of works. I like you a lot. It's the Jake and Spike Show, Doctors. We'll be right back.
This hour is brought to you by Insulation Northwest.
It may be the most noble profession.
Come on.
It's the work of heroes.
Heroes?
You want to live without plumbing?
Well, no.
Then you need plumbers.
Right.
Thing is, so do I.
You need plumbers.
Smiles, actually.
Smiling plumbers?
Or someone who smiles and wants to become an Apollo plumber.
A smile. That's what it takes?
Skills are something we can teach.
Sure.
But a positive attitude comes from within.
That's a big part of being an Apollo plumber.
The biggest part.
What else?
A desire to learn and serve.
Just like every Apollo plumber.
As they learn, so shall they earn.
Earn?
Apollo plumbers can earn 6 figures.
Enough to make me smile.
We believe you get what you give.
Give a smile.
And Apollo service.
Get a smile.
A well-paid smile.
Driving one of those big blue Apollo trucks.
That's the goal.
Does seem pretty noble.
It's important, satisfying work.
And you're looking now?
There's always room for another smile around here.
On the Apollo Plumbing team.
Apply at apolloplumbing.com.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-885-7700. 800-885-7700.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Nearly everyone wants to grow old in their own home. Yet, according to research conducted by Stanford University, 70% of Americans will not achieve this goal, despite having done a lot of retirement planning. Now, why does this happen? Hi, I'm Rajiv Nagaich, an elder law attorney who's been studying this phenomena for the last 20 plus years. The problem isn't the planning that you do. The problem is what you haven't been told. That's why retirement becomes a nightmare. Now, if you're wondering what you haven't been told, come to one of my retirement seminars this month. I'll shine the spotlight in all the dark corners so you can retire with confidence.
Join the free seminar in Federal Way on May 13th, Tacoma on May 15th, or Bellevue on May 17th. Register at lifepointlaw.com. That's lifepointlaw.com. Or call 253-838-3454.
This week's First Mark Challenge victory, well, it goes to Mike. Hey, Mike, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
My wife and I moved here from New York City and found this great guy. It got pricey, but because he was good to us over the years, we stayed loyal to him. But then one day I got an increase that was quite unacceptable. So I made one phone call. I didn't do any shopping. My wife told me to call First Mark.
Mike, were they able to save you and your family money?
Oh, yes. It was over $100 a month.
What would you tell others they can expect when they call First Mark?
the most competitive pricing that you can find. And they had terrific customer service. Even if you're on the phone with them, you can tell they have a smile on their face, so you can tell they love what they're doing.
Do you wish you would have made that call earlier?
I was just kicking myself as you were speaking because I didn't do it sooner.
Well, you just heard. Mike did it. My family did it. You got to do it too. It's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. That's firstmarkinsurance.com.
Guys, thinking about testosterone replacement therapy? Revive Men's Health can help you get started if you're ready to book your free T-check. Visit revivemenshealth.com. That's Revive, REVIBE, menshealth.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. On this National Day of Protesting for Workers' Rights, Mayday, faculty and staff at Seattle Community Colleges staged a walkout. KIRO News Radio's James Lynch has more.
Faculty members and staff walked out right at 10 o'clock at Seattle Central College. Faculty and staff at every Seattle Community College is taking part. Teacher Helena Ribeiro says they are being threatened and need to stand up for students.
We're being threatened with budget cuts at the colleges and furloughs, and those not only hurt the workers, they hurt our students as well.
People holding signs and chanting also protested against the Trump tariffs, ICE, and RFK Jr. In Seattle, James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Hundreds more are rallying across Seattle. We will have live reports from there throughout the day. Turning now to the closing bell reports, the Port of Seattle expects a 40% drop in shipments later this month due to uncertainty surrounding tariffs. Port Commissioner Ryan Calkin says less cargo coming in also means fewer U.S.-made products going out.
Port of Seattle is a major agricultural exporter, and when imports are frozen because of these tariffs, it means that we also don't have an opportunity to export those agricultural goods.
Calkin says shoppers may start feeling the pinch in the coming weeks with higher prices and fewer products on shelves. And with that in mind, a lot of people around the country decided to go car shopping last month. WWJ's Jeff Gilbert explains.
April car sales up about 15% over last year as more people trying to beat possible tariff-related price increases. Ford analyst Eric Merkel says showrooms were busy.
There's no question that we saw strong sales here in April. I think we'll continue to see that in May.
This could be followed by sales dips this summer as many purchases were simply pulled ahead. Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
Bounce back day on Wall Street, driven by rising shares in some big tech companies like Microsoft. Redmond-based company saw its stock rise more than 7.5% as Microsoft reported strong growth in its cloud computing unit, Azure. At the close today, the tech-heavy NASDAQ gained 264, Dow ahead 83, S&P gained 35. Going now to the Beacon Plumbing traffic desk. No major incidents on the road right now. Do have some ongoing road work on Highway 18 eastbound causing some backups at the Tiger Mountain summit. Other than that, the map is pretty much where it should be. Linwood to Seattle under 40 minutes. Tacoma to Olympia 42. You slow down past JBLM. Under 30 minutes from Bellevue to Renton and about a 40-minute drive from Renton to Puyallup. Heading up into Everett on I-5 or 405. You're in pretty good shape. Just some backups right around Canyon Park on 405. And now to the weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. All sunshine today. We'll see highs in the mid-70s. Right now, 64 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill. Rockfish sitting in today. There's a story out of Elle Magazine. Now, if you guys are familiar with Elle Magazine,
read it all the time.
Do you? What's it about?
I have no idea.
How the L do I know? That's the joke you're looking for. It's a culture magazine dealing with music, with fashion, with entertainment itself. And there's a story in Elle about how young women became the music industry's most powerful collaborators. Artists that I'm familiar with and artists that I'm not familiar with. Chappell Roan I've heard of. My kid loves them.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. Sabrina Carpenter, who's hosted Saturday Night Live. She's a huge pop star. The story now speaks to how they collaborate with friends, designing friends, and these collaborations have turned into very powerful and successful, financially successful collaborations, and have helped these stars, both in the fashion world and the music world, own the industry. And it's about the value of working with your friends. And and I don't know much about today's music industry. My tastes were fashion 50 years ago, 40 years ago.
Sure.
The music I loved in my youth, I still love today.
And it stands the test of time.
It does. And we all build the things with the musical tastes we love. For most people, it's been studied and found to be true. We form these musical memories and associations with the pleasant times of our lives with the music that we grew up with, and that will always be our favorite music. And kids today have that too. But when you work with your best friend, you are both supportive, challenging to each other, and it gets the most out of the relationship. And I'm wondering if you guys think that's the case. And do you have to like the people that you work with to get the best out of the relationship, the working relationship? And that's a pretty broad question.
Well, I tell you what comes to my mind immediately is exactly the opposite. Relationships that worked well, but they weren't necessarily friends or pals. You know what I mean? Like Lennon and McCartney. I don't know that they were like best of friends, were they?
No, they were actually challenged each other and were very competitive in their relationship.
Okay.
When we talk about artists and collaboration, the one that comes to mind first for me is Fleetwood Mac's Rumors album. Rumors album is argued to be one of the most popular and successful and brilliant albums of all time. It's like they say it's the perfect album. It's not a bad track on Rumors.
And they were at each other's throats.
They were two relationships were breaking up and deteriorating while they were forced to be together and write this music.
4 of the 5 people were
divorcing
problems.
or breaking up, and that kind of tension and that kind of conflict can be a driver in creativity. Now, I guess there's examples that can be found in both directions.
Okay.
It's always good to enjoy who you work with. That goes without saying. Not to be best friends, but to enjoy who you work with. But there is interest and there's value in conflict. We used to have a credo when I did the morning show with Bob Rivers, that and one of the bases of us bringing material, and we still use it here to this day on talk radio at KIRO, if we're all in agreement on a particular topic, and there's no conflict, there's no one representing a different point of view, there's no reason to bring it up. If we're all going to say, yeah, you're right, that's bad, and we're in 4 people, okay, show of hands, all bad, good. Okay, why do we bother? It's nice to have differing points of view, especially in today's world. What do you think is more valuable? Having just genuine, because the key is to have conflicting values and conflicting points of view, but to be amicable in your conversations and how you represent those and the discussions that we have so that they're pleasant to listen to and respectful in hearing an opposing point of view, something you disagree with.
I don't know that I've ever started a venture with a best friend or anything like that. So I know you can become best friends. You and Bob were very, very close.
It evolved to that. There were moments in any kind of long-term relationship. You're going to have moments where there are very pleasant times and unpleasant times, and that actually led to the creativity.
But they're saying now that partners are coming together intentionally with the purpose of creating these music or
when I say
fashion or what.
Say Chapel Roan, for example, which mentioned in this Elle article again, collaborates with a young woman, and I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize. It is where's First Finding is what I'm really doing poorly.
I believe that one's.
But Ramisha
Sitar.
Sitar. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
And they've been friends for a very long time.
Yes, and she is a graphic artist kind of designer.
So she was like designing the merch and like maybe some of the social media stuff.
Like social media posts, T-shirts, tattoo sheets, stickers, the things, keychains, and that multifaceted aspect of Chapel Roan's
ascendance, rise to popularity,
and the art that she presented in the world. It's not just music; it is also a very visual factor of her popularity. And the fact that these two are very dear friends helps them to create the sum of the parts are greater than the individuals.
It's got to just depend on the situation. It's just got to depend on the people. Right.
One thing they mentioned in this article is that at least, and maybe it's younger generations, maybe it's everybody, really seem to value authenticity. And so the extent to which the friendships when you're close enough with someone that they're encouraging you to be as honest with yourself as possible.
Okay.
That's going to lead to an art that's really working right now, is people being like very, very genuine.
I know they're related, but I have to bring up Billie Eilish and her brother.
Her brother, Phineas.
They come up with some incredible music.
Absolutely.
And, obviously they've been friends a long time, being raised in the same household.
Well, I'd point to Ann and Nancy Wilson, the Wilson sisters, who have collaborated and encouraged each other to make fabulous Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame music.
But maybe siblings are different than best friends. Maybe being related changes that dynamic a little bit.
Well, Rockfish, I'll lean into our history a little bit. We were both in Seattle doing radio in the early 90s when grunge was a factor. And the community of artists in Seattle, the bands who were very supportive and collaborative with each other of Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains. Those guys all came in and they went through the wars together. They shared rehearsal spaces. They played the same clubs, and they were encouraging and nurturing each other. And they collaborated on projects like Temple of the Dog and Nazis and all these other things, Screaming Trees and various other bands from the Seattle area, Mudhoney. There's that friendship led to further collaborations and raised the bar for all these bands and brought great art into the music area of Seattle. So I'd say, yeah.
And it still exists today, a lot of those relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then again, to the conflict side, Stones and Beatles. Those guys were at each other's, they were competitively one-upping each other, never stopped.
The Robinson brothers, Black Crowes, they don't necessarily get along all the time.
How about the guys in Oasis? The brothers in Oasis can't stand each other, right?
That's right.
I mean, they can't stand each other. So it's nice when you can work with your friends. It can be extremely beneficial when you like the people you're working with, and your best friend. If you can work with your best friend, it's even better.
And if you're open, then maybe you become best friends.
There you go. There's where the authenticity kicks in, Jake.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, when we come back, I'll tell you about a scam that's on the rise that you may be affected by, falling victim to. We'll tell you what to look out for. It's Jake and Spike Show with Rockfish. We'll be right back after these.
The closing bell is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital Common Sense Lending.
Choke Points with Chris Sullivan.
With Choke Points, we try to answer listeners' questions. It can be as simple as a neighborhood stop sign, or it can be as big as the budget for transportation. I don't care. I'll find the answer for you. It's really easy to get a hold of me at mynorthwest.com. We have a direct link there that gets right to me. You can also do it in the app. You can hit me up on the text line.
Choke Points, presented by Carter Subaru. Tuesdays and Thursdays on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Was drafted in 1999 by the Philadelphia 76ers, and that was just absolutely a dream come true.
Todd's playing in the NBA is unique. His battle with neuropathy is not.
I first started noticing problems a couple years into my NBA career, and I felt like my sock was just balled up right in the arch of my foot, and there'd be areas of burning and tingling, and then there'd be other areas of deadness where there would be no response to touch. We tried everything possible, from surgery to different drugs, to try and take care of some of the symptoms.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. Our neuropathy treatments can rehabilitate damaged nerves. We use FDA-cleared, non-surgical, non-drug, pain-free procedures that have helped thousands of neuropathy sufferers find relief.
Now I'm able to spend more time doing the things that I enjoy, being on my feet.
If you experience numbness, shooting, or burning pains, or loss of balance, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
It's Jim Singletary, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, here to tell you the right way to choose a roofer. And it's not by choosing the lowest bid. Just comparing numbers? Terrible idea. A low price doesn't tell you if the job will be done right, and it definitely doesn't tell you anything about the contractor. Instead, treat hiring a roofer like a job interview. Ask them, why did my old roof fail early? What's the right solution for me, and why? Have you been around for at least 10 years? A new roof is a huge investment, and the job shouldn't go to the lowest bidder. It should go to the most qualified. At RoofSmart, we've got over a decade of experience, a team of more than 50 full-time pros, and real answers, not just numbers. Plus, we're certified, insured, and properly licensed. We'd love to apply for your roofing job. Call 206-487-4877 or visit GetRoofSmart.com today. That's 206-487-4877 or online at GetRoofSmart.com.
Did you know that nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all? That may be the reason why your home is way too hot in the summer and way too cold in the winter. It may also be the reason that your energy bills are sky high. Right now, Insulation Northwest is offering a free inspection of your home's insulation. This is a $199 value and it's absolutely free, no obligation. Just call today and Insulation Northwest will arrange a time that works with your schedule. We'll perform a thorough exam of your home's insulation and give you the advice you need to start saving thousands. Everyone who calls today will also receive a free infrared screening of your home using the latest technology. This will help reveal any hidden flaws in your home's protective energy blanket. What do you have to lose? It only takes about an hour and it's absolutely free. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS. Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS. Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on mynorthwest.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Spike O'Neill, and my friend Rockfish.
Hello.
Jake and Spike show. There have been a dramatic increase now in the way that scammers, and scammers might be harsh because a lot of people are trying to scam you. A lot of them are just solicitations. But once our information gets out,
I like the word scammer. Let's stick with that one.
Let's talk about that. A new wave of scams are wrong phone number scams, where you get a text from somebody. Hey, Steve, blah, blah, who and you go, this is not the wrong. Oh, what do you, and now they've got your number and what is your name? And they're phishing. All these are just phishing for information. Mm-hmm. And we have to have this public service address far too often. And it's funny how, I find myself in the generation that needs to be reminded, even though I know this to be true. We've had this story on the air over the last 3 years since I've been here at KIRO. At least a half dozen times.
Reminded what? Not to be considerate?
Well,
or caring? or compassionate.
That's what I'm going into it with. But the fact that to verify, to never assume anything that you're being, when someone approaches you through email or through text or through voicemail, a direct phone call to you, always be wary and be, I don't know if cynical is the right word, but cautious and trust, but verify. And sometimes you can't even trust. I get at least 10 phone calls a day from local numbers that are generated through whatever service it is that are trying to ask me for donations to a charity organization that I know does not exist. I mean, I've had conversations with these people. I know you are not with the benevolent fund or whatever.
Law enforcement,
whatever it might be. You get those too?
Yeah, all the time.
I get them all the time. And my problem is whenever I see a number come up that I don't recognize, most often I will ignore it.
You know can I just interrupt real quick? Sure. You know what's disheartening to me is when I get a phone call like that from someone who's pretending to be with law enforcement or whatever. That's tugging at your heartstrings because I'm a big supporter of law enforcement.
Absolutely,
I'm a big supporter of firefighters.
Yeah.
And I hate to say, look, buddy, I'm sorry. I fill the boot when I can. Thank you. Goodbye. It kind of makes you feel bad a little bit.
Yeah. But that's why they come at you with these very worthwhile facades of charitable asks.
Yeah.
It's too often it doesn't bear out to be true. We had the story a month ago maybe, about the USPS. We couldn't, a text that was going around, we were unable to deliver this to your home. Please contact this number. The problem with a lot of these...
and you haven't ordered anything in 3 years.
Yeah, I got an email, just yesterday, from what purported to be PayPal about the order I had made. And I did not make any orders. And it said, thanks so much for your order of a $445, blah, 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 whatever it was.
I've gotten the same one.
If you didn't make this, please call this phone number.
Or click this link.
Yeah. And that's how they fish into your information. And once they get into your phone or your computer, there's malware associated with whatever link you click onto. Next thing you know, they got access to your files, your phones.
But this story you're referencing to right now is about texting, isn't it? A little more about texting, and that's something I don't understand. I get a text from someone I don't know. I'm not responding to it.
Well, see, in particular, this is coming. You get a text like, "Hello, are you able to work today?" And they go, "I'm not. Who is this? Hello, hey, I hope you had a good day." From a number you don't recognize.
Well, but all the numbers I need to know are saved in my phone.
I often fall to, we just had the wedding and I had a contact with a lot of different vendors and people I didn't know. So I was answering phone numbers that I didn't recognize. I usually had the common sense and ability to just ignore. But I didn't want to miss the guy who did this service or provided that for us or who was doing these things for us. So I had to take all these phone calls. And since I have taken maybe 5 different unknown numbers over the last month, I have just been in a deluge, inundated. Thank you, with scams. Mm-hmm. I responded once to hey, did you ever have this? And it was, didn't you have blah, blah, blah? And I did. It was a medical condition, and I didn't recognize the number. I thought it was somebody that was asking me because they knew me about my medical history.
Okay.
And I responded. Next thing you know, I'm getting this inundated with phone calls about a potential class action lawsuit I could be privy to, blah, 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 because I had this.
The one I'm confused about, and it hasn't happened to me, but I hear there's a scam going around where they'll call you and they're trying to get you to say yes for some reason. Is this so-and-so? And just you saying yes, they use somehow again.
They record your voice and use your voice to give authorization to other approvals and questions that they can use. I have him recording him saying yes.
Okay.
Jacob, is that something just us old guys
are
subjected to? Is your generation much more savvy to technology and don't fall for these things? Or because it's people who are naive to the social media or technology itself, like me. And I mean, elders are often the most prominent victims of fraud.
Yeah, no, I think it's maybe there's slightly more older people that fall for it than younger, but I think it's ubiquitous, and certainly I've. What's interesting to me is that even just responding at all is that's a win for the scammer, because then they know that your telephone number is active.
Exactly. It said the thing to do when you receive random text is not to react. Don't say wrong number, because they found themselves a human. Fish on.
If this upsets you, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Watch the movie Beekeeper.
Oh, is that the Jason Statham movie?
Oh, I love that movie.
It's a great movie. That guy, that guy, he was, and Beekeeper, he wasn't a beekeeper who went rogue. Beekeeper was a term they used for, anyway, it's a great movie. I guess overarching theme here is to be cautious. Be cautious. If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. All right, thanks to Andrew. We're out of here. We're out of time. We'll be back right after these commercial breaks. When we come back, we'll talk about the Seahawks have a surprise for us in 2025, and it's not the new offensive lineman they drafted. We'll tell you more when we come back.
The John Curley Show, weekdays 3 to 7.
It's an exciting night in my house last night.
Have you seen it, Jake?
Came home, she's all excited. This shirt she found was $80. So she's sitting there talking to me, and all of a sudden she goes, I can't breathe. Cut me out of it. I was like, cut you out of it? It was $80. I got it for $11. Why'd you even buy it? Because it was $80. I got it for $11. I knew it wouldn't fit, but it was so cheap.
Watch the John Curley Show live on YouTube, weekdays 3 to 7.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
Unleash your best self with a hot spring spa from Olympic Hot Tub, featuring the Freshwater IQ Salt System, healthy saltwater soaks, and a tub that tests your water. Save up to $3,800. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hi, it's John Curley. You know, I've been a patient of Longevity Medical Clinic since 2009, and Longevity Medical Clinic has been helping people live longer, healthier lives for more than 25 years. You know what's amazing, Doctor? The feelings that you have after just a couple of months. You sleep better. Your strength and vitality, it is evident that it works. It's really a mindset, though, Dr. Mixon, because a lot of people, well, this is what's supposed to happen.
Let us help you be stronger, faster, leaner, smarter, sexier, but most important, happier. I'm less impressed by how many years I might live, but how much I live during my years. You know, the option is here. Nobody's going to make you go to Longevity. But the opportunity is there, and all you have to do is take advantage of it. I don't know why anybody would not want to do what we do.
And that's where Longevity Medical Clinic comes in. So get your free health analysis. Go to LongevityMedicalClinic.com. That's LongevityMedicalClinic.com.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today for a free in-home estimate. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle. This is CBS
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There's been a shakeup in President Trump's cabinet. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is out. Correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
The word came that he was being ousted, and as is tradition, or as usually happens, the president makes it official on his social media platform by announcing the ouster and announcing who the successor is, and in this case, it's the Secretary of State.
The president said he's nominating Waltz to be ambassador to the UN. A federal judge has barred the Trump administration from deporting alleged Venezuelan gang members using a wartime law. CBS's Scott McFarlane has more.
This is the latest in a series of courtroom losses for the Trump administration in its use of this 18th century emergency wartime power, Alien Enemies Act, to deport people, foreign nationals, without full due process. Several would-be deportees sued to stop their deportations in Texas, and a Brownsville, Texas judge ordered those individuals can't be deported through the Alien Enemies Act and must be deported through traditional means.
We're learning more about what may have led to a deadly crash into an after-school camp in central Illinois. No decision has been made to charge the 44-year-old driver. Brendan Kelly is director of the Illinois State Police.
Some evidence has been developed indicating the possibility of a medical emergency leading up to the crash. However, the investigation of this information and other evidence has not yet concluded.
3 children and a teenager were killed when the car crashed through the building. Christopher Cruz has the latest on efforts to hire more air traffic controllers.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said the FAA will provide new opportunities for military-trained controllers to enter the civilian workforce and give financial incentives to graduates of the Air Traffic Control Academy.
We're going to give those new graduates a $5,000 bonus.
Duffy says the system is safe now, but with the shortage in the towers, current air traffic controllers are under a lot of stress, and many are required to work overtime. Christopher Cruz, CBS News, Washington.
Tariffs are weighing on the nation's corporations. General Motors pledged today to take additional steps to boost its U.S. supply chain after projecting a $4 to $5 billion hit to its earnings due to tariffs. Other corporations are being hard hit by Americans pulling back on their spending. Here's Jason Brooks.
McDonald's sustained its biggest sales decline since the COVID outbreak in 2020, with comparable sales dropping 3.6% in the first quarter compared to a year earlier. CEO Chris Kepczynski told McDonald's earnings call that middle-income consumer traffic fell nearly as much as lower-income consumer traffic, which was down double digits for the second straight quarter.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials finished the day 83 points higher. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Coming up, we are live at a Mayday rally in Seattle. But first, we go to the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, and this report brought to you by Seattle Sports. First responders now on the scene, blocking 2 right lanes on southbound I-5 in Tukwila. This is just past Interurban Avenue, backed up to the Boeing Access Road. Right now, Seattle to South Center is about a 30-minute drive. That's a 15-minute delay. You're looking at about a 3-mile backup. All clear in Tacoma. At eastbound 16 at Jackson Avenue, had a crash there, fully blocking the off-ramp. Rest of the map, some travel times for you. 41 minutes now from Linwood to Seattle. Tacoma to Olympia, 45 minutes. Slowdowns past JBLM there. Renton to Puyallup is just under 50 minutes. A little slow between Auburn and Sumner. And Bellevue to Renton still under 30 minutes, but a little jammed up, though, at a downtown Bellevue. Search Seattle Sports on YouTube and click subscribe to get fresh video content daily.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Hundreds have turned out in Seattle to march for workers and immigrants' rights. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey is at the Mayday rally at Cal Anderson Park. He joins us live. Luke.
And Aaron, that march is officially underway. Hundreds making their way out of Cal Anderson Park through the streets to downtown Seattle. Most of them activists and union members holding signs supporting various causes and issues. This year, in the wake of the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration, immigration rights is certainly an issue that's front and center. Union organizer Rigo Valdez is here to celebrate rights of immigrants, transgender workers, and federal workers.
The workers here definitely need a living wage. They definitely need a voice at work. Federal workers need their jobs.
Demonstrators, well, we don't know if they will become violent later on as they have in years past during this march. However, we do know the city of Seattle has now activated its Emergency Operations Center in anticipation. Live in Seattle, Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Thank you, Luke. Washington superintendent's now reacting to a federal investigation into his office. Chris Rakedahl tells KIRO News Radio's G and Ursula the Trump administration is twisting anti-discrimination laws to target transgender youth.
Our own federal government is attacking the sovereignty of our own states. That's a harsh truth, but that's what's happening.
Education Department argues the state is pushing schools to adopt controversial policies on gender identity. It says violations of Title IX could lead to a loss in federal funding. Edmond School Board approves cuts for the next school year to address an estimated $8.5 million budget shortfall. Everett Herald reports the resolution allows the districts to cut up to 12 certified staff positions. State troopers now rolling out new technology to alert drivers of upcoming emergencies. KIRO News Radio's Nate Connors tells us they're testing that program out in North Bend.
It's called Safety Cloud and sends real-time digital alerts to motorists when emergency vehicles are near them. Spokesperson Haley Shipman explains how it works.
What this transponder does is it alerts the Washington roadway users of either oncoming troopers or troopers up ahead stopped on the side of the road.
The hope is this will give drivers more time to move over or at least slow down at the scene of an incident. Automatic warnings will appear on the Waze and Apple Maps apps and newer vehicle dashboards. State Patrol plans to test this system in the North Bend area starting in June. Nate Connors, KIRO News Radio.
Weather now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunny today, highs in the mid-70s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with temperatures in the upper 60s. Right now, 64 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill with my good friend Rock Christian for Jake Skorheim. Aaron Granillo.
Yes.
I know that you yesterday were fully focused on news gathering and delivering the stories of the day to our Northwest audience.
Yes.
And you didn't have the Mariner game on TV?
No, I did have the Mariners game on TV. There's news because they're so hot right now.
Oh, my goodness.
You know?
So the Mariners completed a 2-game sweep of the Angels yesterday with an afternoon getaway game. They'll be on the road. They're off today and on the road tomorrow, opening a series
in Texas. Texas Rangers, yeah.
I thought the series was here in Texas.
They're on the road.
On the road.
On the road.
Okay. Yeah, that was a quick little homestand.
Yeah.
And it was kind of odd to have a day off on Monday.
Yeah, it was weird.
Tuesday, Wednesday, with the Wednesday being an afternoon 9-inning lunch. I used to love when they called it that. And off on Thursday. That's kind of great a month into the season.
Yeah, I think they'll take it because this recent homestand was coming off of a 9-game East Coast road trip without a day off before a weekend series.
And the Mariners do traditionally have the most miles of any team in Major League Baseball.
As do most teams here in the Northwest.
Yes. Exactly. What is it about these Mariners? Because when the season started, and it was a stumbling out of the gate moment for the Mariners.
7 games in, everybody was saying that's the end of the season. It's over.
They were 17.
Here we go again.
That's right.
And now they're within a game and a half of having the best record in all of baseball.
Yeah.
They're a game and a half ahead of Texas, I believe, aren't they?
Yeah, we're up in the West. Is it Houston's in second now? And then I think the A's have climbed into third, Texas in fourth.
Yes.
If I've seen those standings correctly.
That sounds right.
But they're within a game and a half of having the best record in all of baseball, up on par with the Mets are having a fine start.
Yeah, and you would think when the season started, if they were in this position, it would be because of their pitching.
They're winning 2-0. They're winning 3-1. Yeah.
They're blowing out teams right now.
And we've lost 2 of our best. We don't have 2 of our best pitchers.
That's right. Logan Gilbert out with bum forearm, and then Kirby's been out all season dealing with it. He should be back soon, though, we're hoping. But no, their bats have just taken off. Jorge Polanco is playing out of his mind. He may very well win Player of the Month. If not him, it'll be Aaron Judge. You got J.P. Crawford, who's the best, if you look at the numbers, the best shortstop in baseball right now in terms of his offensive numbers. And then you just got random guys sort of pulling their own weight, bottom of the order guys who you probably don't know. These aren't Every day.
No.
Exactly.
Oh.
Ben Williamson, who got called up from AAA, has been a revelation. Exactly.
Yeah.
Leo Rivas, who just showed up and plugged him in at second base. He's been very good.
You know who you haven't mentioned?
I think
the J-Rod show.
Yeah. We're still waiting for J-Rod to take off, aren't we?
I'm sure he will, but right now it's the Polanco show for sure.
No doubt. J-Rod, historically, and it hasn't been much of a history, but his first 3 seasons in the big leagues, he's gotten off to slow starts.
Okay.
April is always a slow month for Julio. We were hoping that would change this year. It did not. He's batting slightly over 200. But what you can say about Julio is he is taking his walks. He's being more aggressive, it seems like, this year. He's going after the first pitch quite a bit, which isn't out of the norm for him, but he's doing it more often, it seems like.
Do you see a direct, or do you I think I see some results of Dan Wilson being the skipper, of Edgar Martinez being a hitting, not the hitting coach, but a hitting supervisor?
I think so. I was listening to Brock and Salk this morning. They had Jay Buhner on.
Smart thing to do.
Yeah, right. So Jay Buhner is going to be calling games for Root this weekend. He lives in Texas, apparently. So he was talking about playing with Edgar and how he was always sort of a coach, even when he was playing. So it's a little bit of a combination of old school baseball and also whatever they're doing right now with the long ball is working. When the season started, we all thought it was going to be a lot of hit and run.
That was the idea, manufacture runs.
Which is happening.
Baseball. Yeah.
But it's also a combination of, man, they got some power right now. Are they leading the American League in home runs?
I think they were. Last time I checked was 2 days ago. They were leading the American League in home runs. I'm not sure if that's still the stat.
Yeah,
but yesterday.
Exactly. I mean, Cal with 10 homers and Polanco approaching 10, and they're hitting the ball a long way and hitting it hard.
Bottom line, what they're not doing?
Striking out.
Or leaving runners on base.
Exactly. And that, I think, is the Martinez / their hitting coach, Kevin Seitzer's approach, which is with 2 strikes on you, put the ball in play. Take
make
your
contact,
pitch, make contact, you put the ball in play, things happen.
How many of them are using the torpedo bats?
As far as I know, it's only Cal. He's been the most prominent.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure.
Because that was like all the rage 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, everybody was the torpedo bat was the revolutionized baseball until they ban it.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. So, anyways, they're hot. 7 straight series wins. They're also a little banged up. So I kind of have a sense, just being the Mariner fan that I am.
There's going to be a cool down period.
I'm kind of sensing that.
Not me. I'm in all the way, man.
I love that. I love that for you.
I'm sorry. I think this is the year. We've stunk for so long.
Yeah.
Remind me, Aaron, the lead they had built up. I feel like it was some point over the summer. They were up like maybe 10 games.
Talking about last year?
Yeah.
They were hot in June, and then July and
it
August
all fell
was
apart.
Brutal.
And we're even earlier, and we're already getting ourselves.
That's why
don't say it. Don't even think it.
I'm hopeful. I'm loving it. I'm watching every game. I am basking in the glory of this Mariners offense. I want it to continue. I also know better.
See, for me, it comes down to one thing. Being from Texas, I don't really care as long as they beat Texas.
Yeah.
And Houston?
I just, as long as they take care of those Texas teams, I don't care.
Aaron, I know you got to get back to the news desk. The City Connect uniforms. Do you love them? Do you hate them?
I don't necessarily like them. I don't love the black pants.
That's me too.
Yeah.
Really?
I love the P&W patch on the sleeve.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
different
wonderful.
About the jersey.
It's different. Yeah.
Don't love the pants.
The black pants looks like they should be waiting tables.
Yeah,
with the black pants.
I love it. I think it's. I'm a fan of different logos, different looks. I've always been a fan of like farm team hats. And logos.
I love it.
Did you guys see? I think it was the White Sox. Their City Connects jersey. Have you
I
seen
like those? The red and black ones.
They look like the Chicago Bulls.
Well, they're paying tribute to the Bulls.
Yeah, very cool.
It's intentional.
It's a cool look. Yeah.
I'm an old school baseball guy. I want the visiting team to wear gray.
You want pinstripes without their name on the back.
I want the home team to wear white. I hate pinstripes in any way, shape, or form. I was born in Baltimore. And anything but the Yankees for me.
Sure.
And the Red Sox. It was Red Sox for me.
Now, do the Orioles have a City Connect?
Yeah, they do. Okay. It's black. It's all black with an orange. Be more.
I'm a big fan. I love it. I love the blue
you're gonna love. You're gonna love the new Seahawk look then, because the Seahawks made an announcement today that there is a new. They are expanding their uniforms, and we're not talking about getting rid of the highlighters, the neon green, when they do the one color nights, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
And when the Seahawks do it in that neon green, they do like a bunch of highlighter pens running around on the field. It's bizarre. But the NFL has announced that they are coming out with a rivalries addition to the uniforms, and it's going to be first start with I think it's the AFC East and the NFC West. Okay. So Bills, Jets, Pats, and Dolphins will do it, and then of course the NFC West, and they're going to be much like the City Connect uniforms, where they're going to be a specific uniform that's designed with a specific uniqueness to the market in mind. And they haven't revealed the look yet, but the Seahawks will have a uniform design, and they're going to keep, the blue and neon green.
Does the helmet stay the same?
I can't imagine it will. They haven't shown it yet.
I heard there was some kind of regulation where they only have a certain only 2 different helmets they can use.
That's true, because the reason it took so long for the Seahawks to get access to the throwbacks, the silver helmets, and the first royal blue of the Seattle Seahawks uniforms. We played in that last season, the season before we brought it back. There is limitations on how many uniform combinations they can bring out. Unlike the NBA, which has like 19,000 different uniforms.
Or the Oregon Ducks.
The Oregon Ducks, which is 34,000 different uniform combinations and still 0 national championships. Ooh. It's ironic. I can get those cuts in, and they put the O right on the field to remind their fans. Anyway, you Duck fans, and I got one in my family now. My new son-in-law is a Duck.
Oh, okay.
And all his family are Ducks. No, it's okay. We're learning to live in peace and harmony. So the Seahawks, and this new look will be unveiled in one home game against a divisional rivalry.
Wow.
So that the city's uniform combination for Seattle will have things that are unique to Seattle.
Is it going to have a big Nintendo Switch 2 patch on the sleeve? I'm sorry. I'm so upset with the advertising that's on uniforms these days. I'm not going out to buy a Nintendo Switch because one of my favorite Mariners players is wearing a patch on his sleeve.
Well, that's a luxury that major leagues had been dodging that for decades, forever, for a century plus. Mm-hmm. You look at teams like the Storm or the Sounders. Advertisement is a common accepted part of their uniform,
especially in soccer. Yeah,
in soccer and the WNBA, because it's a monetary issue and you have to generate revenue. I don't know how Major League Baseball or the NFL
avoided it for so long,
or just feels the need to advertise on a uniform.
Yeah,
how much money is enough money? I remember when the outfield wall was, and if you go back 100 years, the outfield wall was littered with advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And then the outfield wall was black. And now the advertising is almost everywhere in baseball. And now it's digitally imposed. You can put advertisements on the wall behind the batter that change with every pitch because it's not painted on the bricks behind home plate. It's digitally imposed on the bricks behind home plate.
Okay, I didn't know that.
In a lot of clubs do that.
I thought there was a screen or something.
Well, there's screens that rotate messaging, but now they can just, as they fly in the first down marker in an NFL broadcast, they can fly in advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it either. The patch, the sell me a Nintendo patch on the jerseys.
I am excited about a new Seahawks uniform, though.
And so again, it's going to be only for one game against your rival, divisional rival. If I'm reading the news information correctly, it says the NFL is home to some of the biggest sports rivalries, and today marks a historical moment in the NFL as we share rivalries with the world. That's from Renee Anderson, Chief Revenue Officer at the NFL. Together with Nike, we are harnessing the power of rivalry matchups to bring fan excitement and community pride and sell you stuff to the next level through specially designed player uniforms with limited edition fan gear that will embark on a journey that inspires competitive spirit and reveals the winner in all of us.
What could be on a Seahawks?
That was my question.
That could make it a city. What could connect a Seahawks uniform to the city?
Because Arizona's going to have obviously a Southwestern theme with cactus.
Okay.
Right? LA, can imagine they can do so many glitzy LA Hollywood things with the LA Rams, uniform. Seattle will have the mountain? We'll have a fish.
Mountain.
Seems pretty, it's what we do.
Yeah.
When we talk about the Northwest, let's have a mountain, let's have a fish, let's have an orca.
Eagle, mountain.
And I'm not mocking it. It's to be celebrated. The natural beauty of this area is one of the greatest assets.
What about some tribal type of striping?
That'd be great. Well, there already is in the 12s. The piping down the pants of the 12s is a tribal tribute to tribal art. Those kind of almost like wing-like.
I thought they were just feathers.
That's tribal.
Okay.
It's tribal in origin.
Okay.
As was the initial Seahawk logo, was tribal in origin.
Yeah, sure.
I think tribe would be a great compliment to the history and culture of the Northwest.
Cool.
As well as the physical attributes.
I like that. I think it's a good idea.
I love the fact that I had guests in town this last few weeks. The city was built on gold. This was the stop before the Yukon Gold Rush. This city was.
I mean, it's all in an effort to sell merchandise.
It's all. How many different things can we sell you?
Yeah.
The NBA has all these different. They have a ton of different jerseys, and it's all marketing.
I got to be honest with you. I can watch an NBA game, and it takes me a while to figure out what team I'm watching
playing
just because of the uniform. It gets very confusing.
Yeah, I love Portland's Rip City. I mean, I love that. That's a great nickname. Chi-Town, whatever it is, Beantown in Boston. So we'll see what happens. The NFL's coming with a jersey. Are you a racing fan at all, Rockfish? Have you ever been a race fan?
I have.
You either are or you're not.
My brother was the biggest NASCAR fan I've ever known. I saw one. They had an inaugural. I don't know if it was Formula or what in Dallas, racing through the streets of Dallas, and I went that one time, and it's the only racing event I've ever seen. Other than being dragged to the demolition derby at Skagit Speedway, which is always very fun.
It's funny. I love going to watch the Bombers up in Monroe. That's fantastic. The state fairgrounds up there, or the fairgrounds up there.
Races and things.
Boat races. I was in a demolition derby up there once. It was horrible.
Cool. Yeah. But not a fan of Formula One or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, Formula One it's funny because there's a story in the Wall Street Journal. The Formula One seems poised to actually crack the American market. Mm-hmm. I've got a dear friend who was born and raised here in the Northwest, now has relocated, that works in London. And he worked in Hong Kong for a while. He works in London now. But his European exposure, his life outside of America, he loves Formula One racing. Says it's the most interesting, most exciting form of racing. When you mentioned they race through the streets, they literally close off cities and they race through the streets in Formula One. It's becoming popular in America. It's being marketed correctly.
It seems like more of a sport that you would watch on TV, though, because if you're sitting in one spot.
Here they come,
and it's like
3 minutes later. Hold on, I can hear them. But the reality of that is when the field stretches out over the course of a race, there's a guy come by every 2 seconds.
Yeah,
there's always and you never know which one of these guys is going to take out a wall. And we're all watching racing for the wrecks, right?
Do you watch Spike?
I enjoy watching Formula One.
Okay,
and I've come new to that since my friend Peter exposed that to me. I've never been a NASCAR fan. Go fast, turn left. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I've had people explain to me, and I understand the skill involved. And when you talk about the regulation of racing, how that every machine is meticulously even, what the cars weigh, the amount of horsepower, the design factors, how much clearance they have from the track deck. These guys are all racing with the exact same, like if it was horse racing, they've all got the exact same horse and it's all in the jockey.
Yeah.
So in racing, it literally is all in the driver and the pit crew's skill.
Yes. And the engineers who build the cars.
Right. And the mechanics who keep these cars running at this incredible pace for this length of time.
I'll tell you right now, I'd be a bigger NASCAR fan if it was more like Talladega Nights.
Yeah?
How so? That movie just makes me laugh.
That movie's hilarious. Ricky Bobby's one of the greatest characters of all time. There was a show called Formula One. It was Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
So that's what I was going to. So I am a recent convert to Formula One racing.
Was it the show that brought you in?
The show is what brought my girlfriend in, who brought me in.
Okay,
but that is
smart man.
It's interesting that the way to break into the American market was to make the drivers themselves into TV characters that we can watch.
Absolutely. I saw a commercial series for a Formula One race, and it's Madison Avenue, man. Yeah. It's marketed to the teeth, and these guys are good-looking guys, and they're young, and and it's production. Mm-hmm. It's the reason we care about naked people on Survivor. And it's good production, good storytelling.
Taught people how everything worked, which is what you need to actually enjoy the races. Is you
an understanding of what's going on. Yeah, that's based true. Yes.
What's going on in the pit stop, or what's an engineer thinking about as the races are happening. The fact that they bring you along for that is, I think, huge, and why they're working. Why there's more American fans now.
And when you see these guys racing, literally. Toe-to-toe is the right word, wheel-to-wheel, bumper to bumper. And these guys they're incredible athletes driving incredibly engineered, as Jacob said, machines through the streets.
Are they athletes?
Yes. No, that's a fair question. Yes, they're athletes because the stamina and hand-eye coordination and skill involved, that's an athlete.
The G-forces you've got to prepare for. It does take, a level of physicality.
Physical marvels. You ever see the movie Ford versus Ferrari?
I was just going to bring that up. I love that film. It's
a beautifully told story.
Yeah.
It's well marketed. There's a hero, there's a villain. to your point about Talladega Nights, the Sacha Baron Cohen's character, the guy you love to hate. That's telling Americans a good story is how to get us involved in anything.
Sure.
And now we're here. Here we are. World, we finally made it. We understand the value of Formula One racing. It's here, and now America apparently is ready for it. All right, when we come back, I'll tell you what America's ready for, what Seattle's ready for. Drinking at strip clubs.
Yeah!
That's right. You may have missed it. This was maybe the softest, no pun intended, the softest launch of all time. Because it's been legal for almost a year now.
Yeah.
To drink at Seattle strip clubs. And there was a debate for quite a while. We'll tell you where you can go if that's what you're into right after these.
This hour is brought to you by Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens.
You never know what's in store each morning once you hit the road.
We've got a major traffic alert in effect right now.
Well, you're getting ready every morning. Make us part of your routine.
What morning, huh?
Yeah. Got off to an early start.
Just tell your smart speaker to play KIRO News Radio or stream us on the app.
Both directions of I-5 are closed.
We'll help you get where you're going faster.
Maybe bail at 512.
KIRO News Radio. We're on your smart speaker, the app, and 97.3 FM.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. You may have known us for our unique cabinet refacing projects, but I'd like to introduce our full bathroom remodeling service. New tub, shower, floors, counters, and of course cabinetry. Same commitment to quality and value, same full service, just another way to serve the folks of Puget Sound. Call today for a free in-home consultation. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, my name is Rajiv Nagaich.
Ever since I became an elder law attorney more than 20 years ago, I've helped thousands of people in the Seattle area retire with more confidence about their future. I'd like to invite you to one of my retirement planning seminars this month. Learn how to protect your estate from long-term care costs. Live out your years where you choose, even if you get sick, without becoming a burden on people you love the most. Learn how to use the Safe Harbor Trust to protect your estate from threats most people overlook. Come to the seminar and I'll show you how it's done.
Join the free seminar in Federal Way on May 13th, Tacoma on May 15th, or Bellevue on May 17th. Register at lifepointlaw.com. That's lifepointlaw.com. Or call 253-838-3454. 253-838-3454.
Need a new roof but not in the budget? A new roof doesn't have to break the bank. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Right now, State Roofing and Exteriors is offering 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's 2 years with no payments while getting the protection your home deserves. But this offer won't last forever. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to get on our summer schedule now. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Unleash your best self with an endless pool from Olympic Hot Tub, the best swim spa you can own. Now through May 15th, save up to $8,800 on an endless pool swim spa package. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. The annual Mayday rally is on in Seattle at this hour. Marchers are moving from Capitol Hill to downtown. Earlier this morning, faculty and staff at Seattle Community Colleges staged a walkout.
At exactly 10 o'clock, the walkout started at Seattle Central College. A crowd of more than 100 people gathered carrying signs and chanting. Union members supporting union members and standing up for each other on International Workers' Day. Here's union member J.P. Green.
They'll take everything they can from us. In all the union negotiations, they try to give us as little as possible, not even beating inflation. So we're actually losing money year after year.
Protesters say state lawmakers need to do more to fund higher education. In Seattle, James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Missing 16-month-old has been found safe. The toddler was taken this morning from a Bothell home by her mother. She does not have custody of that child. State Patrol says they have taken the mother into their custody. Washington U.S. Senator Patty Murray now warning about a shock to the nation's supply chain. She says it's already being seen at ports up and down the West Coast.
Less cargo at our ports means less goods for our truckers to transport. And that ultimately means bare shelves for our retailers and the American consumer.
Ports of Seattle and Tacoma say they expect shipments to plummet by 40% later this month amid the ongoing trade war. A Bellevue-raised lady may just be the belle of the Tony Awards this year. KIRO News Radio's Heather Bosch explains.
In the musical Death Becomes Her, Megan Hilty recreates the role made famous by Meryl Streep in the 90s film. Hilty telling CBS,
"You could get really hung up on the fact that some of the greatest actresses of all time played our roles.
That's clearly not a problem for Hilty, who was just nominated for Best Leading Actress in a Musical for her portrayal of an actress seeking eternal youth. Hilty was previously nominated for her role in the play Noise Is Off, and she gained fame in the TV hit Smash.
Please say that you won't. I pray that you don't forget me.
Heather Bosch, KIRO News Radio.
And that takes us to 2:33. We go to the Beacon Plumbing traffic desk. This report is brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. Seeing backups grow on southbound I-5 approaching Tukwila. We have a crash blocking the right lane just past Interurban Avenue. Backed up down to mid-Boeing Field, looking at about a 40-minute drive from Seattle to South Center, about a 20-25-minute delay there. All clear in Tacoma on westbound 16. A right lane was blocked at the midspan on the Narrows Bridge. Travel times for you, Linwood to Seattle taking you now 43 minutes, 45 minutes from Tacoma to Olympia, jamming up right around JBLM. Bellevue to Renton, 33 minutes, heavy out of downtown Bellevue right now. And Renton to Puyallup approaching 1 hour right now, thick at spots between Auburn and Sumner. And again, Mayday marchers making their way from Cal Anderson Park through Capitol Hill. They are making their way toward downtown Seattle at this hour. For all of your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking and call Beacon. Weather now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunny today. Highs will top out in the mid-70s for much of the region, though could see 80 potentially in the South Sound. Right now, 70 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. Jake Skorheim's taking a day to recover from a little bit of a sick at home. And I wish him well, and I hope his family and his lovely wife are all babying him. Because guys don't get sick well. We're terrible patients. Is that the case for you, Fish? I myself, whenever I get a little trouble at home, I turn into a babbling 7-year-old.
Yeah, pretty much. I think probably all men are like that.
I've seen my wife push through. The woman could lose a limb and still get dinner on the table.
Yeah.
And still, I don't mean to be misogynistic. Still do all the things that she needs to do in a day and care for the family. Do whatever it is. Yeah, boy, I'm putting myself into a corner here with my one arm.
I'm a pretty miserable, sick person. That's for sure. I complain quite a bit.
I'm glad Jake's at home and not spreading that around for the rest of us. We're going to bring you a story now. In Seattle, for the last 50 years, if you went to a gentleman's club, is that the proper way to phrase this? A peeler bar if you're above the
peeler bar.
That's what they call them in Canada, up in Vancouver. If you go to an adult strip club in Washington, you couldn't have alcohol, and it's been a point of contention. It was a point of safety because the industry itself had wanted to apply for and hope to be granted liquor licenses. What they were finding at strip clubs in the Seattle and around Washington were that people who weren't allowed to drink in the clubs would drink outside the clubs, would drink in their cars, would drink elsewhere and come in.
Get sloshed and then come inside.
And then come in. And
cause the same type of problems.
Right. And when people have liquor licenses, when organizations, restaurants, bars, now strip clubs, which a little over a year ago, the state passed a law that liquor licenses were available for strip clubs. When a company can monitor alcohol intake by certain, they can serve, they can cut a guy off, they can know when a guy's had too much. When they're not involved in the alcohol consumption of their customers, they get whatever comes through the door. And doormen can stop raging drunks, but oftentimes if you slam something in your car and then come in, the effects of what you drank take a few minutes to get to you.
Sure. You've already paid your cover charge.
Right, and you got past the doorman before the stuff kicked in.
Yeah.
So now in Washington, it's been almost over a year now, you can have alcohol being served in, I think Dreamgirls down south of the stadiums was one of the first in the state to get a liquor license. They've been doing it for over a year.
So commuting from my house to where I work, I drive by 2 strip clubs right there on Lake City Way.
Okay.
And I was astonished because my first I had no idea.
Exposure?
My first exposure to this was the sign exposure was on their reader board that said now serving alcohol. And I was like, what? Because I came from Texas, right? Where, it was, when I was growing up, the age was 18 and you could get into gentlemen's clubs and drink alcohol. So when I got up here and I was, 27, 28, and I was like, what? They don't serve alcohol in topless bars here? Why would you go if you can't have a bar or if you can't have a drink? I just didn't understand the concept.
Naked women. That's why you would go.
Yeah, but they always look better when you've had alcohol.
I was going to say, doesn't the sign now say they're even better looking now? We serve alcohol, so they're even better looking than before.
Yeah. I got to tell you, do I have time for a very quick story?
Sure,
Can I blow my horn?
Of course you do, sure.
The last topless bar I went to was in 1996. I was in Denver doing radio. I get a call from Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains.
Okay.
Will you pick me up at the airport? Absolutely. I pick him up here. I'm doing morning radio, so it's like 10 o'clock at night. Hey, Jerry, I got to go back home and get ready for my show. Oh, no, we're going to a gentleman's club with Diamond and Daryl from Pantera.
Wow.
That was a major mistake.
Did you go right from the club to work?
I went straight from the club to work. And I'll tell you what was really interesting is...
they served alcohol in Denver strip clubs.
In Dallas strip clubs. I'm in Dallas at the time, right?
Sorry.
So the thing about it is you've got the two guys from Pantera in this strip bar. The first waitress that comes over, they tip her $100.
Uh-oh.
Well, where do you think the rest of the dancers and the waiters are coming? They're coming over to the pool table.
That's like taking a bucket of fries out to the seagulls down on the boardwalk.
And that was upsetting all the other patrons.
Oh.
Because number one, they're not tipping $100 bills. And number two, they're not getting any attention. So that was literally my last experience with a topless bar. But I'm curious how it's working out for a year now here in Seattle.
I haven't heard any news stories.
I haven't heard any bizarre stories
about
either.
bad actions, bad actors, shenanigans at various strip clubs, whether they're called shenanigans or not. I am not a. It's maybe I've aged out of the game, but I was never a big one for.
No, me neither.
I've got dear friends who love it, who would make it a part of every travel experience they have of their own business. The only time I ever really went to these clubs was when we would go to radio conventions. We would go to conventions in whether it was Atlanta, which is a mecca of adult entertainment gentlemen's clubs. I mean,
the Deep South is
Atlanta. I swear to you, the clubs in Atlanta. We went to a club in Atlanta, Georgia. You go to the clubs in Seattle, and maybe it's because they didn't have alcohol. They were a little underwhelming. It was a little darker than you wanted to be.
It had nothing to do with the alcohol,
or the lack thereof. Maybe I thought more of it if I was a little tipsy.
Yeah.
But in Atlanta, it was like supermodel dancers, and couples would go. There were as many women patrons in these clubs as there were men patrons in these clubs, and they served alcohol, and it was very, very high-end experience.
That sounds like Vancouver, Canada.
Vancouver's a very similar experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Vancouver, you can not only get a drink, you can get a steak dinner at a lot of clubs in Atlanta, and I wish they put a sneeze guard over their salad bar because it's troubling. Do you know what city in America has the per capita most strip clubs in all of America? If you had to guess.
Is it somewhere in the Deep South?
No.
Is it Portland?
It's Portland, Oregon.
Really?
Portland, Oregon, because in 1987, the Oregon Supreme Court ruled that nudity was a form of free speech.
Mm-hmm.
And Oregon now, the city of Portland has more, and they've been serving alcohol in their strip clubs forever.
Okay.
They've got one per every 11,800 residents.
That's just because they're weird, though.
Keep Portland weird.
They're a little weird. They also they reliably serve food, even in strip clubs. I think that there's.
Now, I haven't been to one in Portland. Have you?
I've never been to a strip club in my life.
I was going to ask about the clientele.
But just what's funny to me to think about is that if I were to go to one, I do think it would be in Portland because there's kind of a culture around it where it's fairly common. Again, people can eat there.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange to me that it almost feels more, and I know this sounds kind of absurd, it almost feels more wholesome to go to a strip club in Portland because you might be going there to get food or to get a drink. Whereas in Seattle for years, there was nothing. The only reason you were there was fairly brilliant.
Was to support single moms.
I do want to point something.
You're there.
I do want to point something out. I don't know if it was heard by everyone in the listening audience. He's never been to a strip club in his life.
I'm kind of surprised. I thought it would happen. It just keeps not happening.
Sorry. I am so sorry, Andrew. We have a mission. Young Jacob Rommel here, and he's in management.
That's right.
Can you get the company credit card? Because I think that's good show content. We'll take Jacob out.
I think upstairs will be interesting. Oh,
we're going for lunch.
Sure,
we'll have a business lunch. Yeah, but you can wear a blindfold if it makes you more comfortable. I won't, but you can. When we come back, we'll have your text, the best of your text today. We appreciate you being part of our show for the last 3 hours. I'm Spike O'Neill along with Rockfish. So Jake and Spike Show will be right back after these.
The John Curley Show, weekdays 3 to 7.
The guy that was a hitman for the Gambino. He's part of the Gambino family, yeah. And now he's a motivational speaker. He's in this, talking to a bunch of, grade school kids. They're like, listen, you guys gonna be okay. Just don't be snitches. They get stitches.
John Curley, weekdays 3 to 7 on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM. Watch the John Curley Show live on YouTube.
Jim Singletary here, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, where we're not afraid to tell you no. Looking for a roofing company that'll do cheap, fast work and just cover up the problem? No, that's not us. Want a quick quote without a real inspection? Nope. Just want a price without knowing your options? Not happening. Look, we don't want to tell you no, but if saying yes means cut corners, bad results, or wasted money, we won't do it. Period. And here's the deal. Seattle gets 150 rainy days a year. That's not wait and see weather, it's call Roof Smart now weather. We say no to leaky roofs, sloppy work, and bad estimates, and yes to thorough inspections, accurate quotes, and top quality work that actually lasts. So if you want an honest roofer who's not afraid to say no to bad work, call Roof Smart today at 206-487-4877 or visit GetRoofSmart.com. That's 206-487-4877 or GetRoofSmart.com.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
I saw her texting, coming up to a stop sign, and so I saw the accident coming, and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines, and I was able to sleep through the night, and that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025 or click soundpainsolutions.com.
See the new phase of premium view lots at Natchez RV Resort, and they start at just $80,000. Don't miss your opportunity to get first pick. Reserve your showing now. 800-422-6009. NatchezRVResort.com.
I've always been an athletic guy, but after turning 40, I noticed I was slowing down. I booked a free testosterone check with Revive Health and learned that low T doesn't just impact my performance in the bedroom. I've been following a custom treatment plan ever since, and today I'm feeling stronger and more confident than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMensHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMensHealth.com/privacy policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMensHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage expert. Steve, mortgage rates have been dropping this year. How could that help seniors struggling to stay in their homes?
Lower mortgage rates means seniors can now get more money from their equity with a reverse mortgage. You can pay off your existing mortgage, have extra money to help with today's high cost of living, or believe it or not, you can even buy a home with a reverse mortgage. There are many uses, and best of all, you have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
Welcome back, everyone. And as always, the star of the show today is you, the audience, and the text that you send to the show. We appreciate you taking part in our program with us, commenting on the things that we bring to you. whether it's through the text line here at KIRO Studios or the chat on our YouTube channel. I can tell you that you can see the YouTube channel, the full show. When we're done, it'll all be there for you. You can watch all 3 hours if you like. And I will point to one of the first texts we got as to why it's important to watch the YouTube channel. Mike in Portland says, I just looked at the live feed on YouTube, and I have to say you sound a lot younger than you look. Thanks a lot, Mike in Portland. Jacob, why don't you pick it up from there?
Devin, he actually wrote this on the YouTube chat.
Okay.
That's where I got this, so you can also reach us that way. Devin writes, I know why Jake is really gone today. He's at the Mayday protest downtown. That is not true, but that's a funny idea.
How about turn your mic on? You want to come back tomorrow, you said, huh? Okay. Go ahead.
Vicky says, Spike, I always enjoy your sense of humor, but today you're in rare form.
I'm sitting with my friends. That's great. And I love Jake. Don't get me wrong. He's a great guy, and I'm enjoying every chance we get to work together. But this has been a real treat for me. On Seattle parking, area code 206 says, don't you remember years ago, they took out all the street parking on certain streets. Mayor McGinn was trying to get everybody on bikes and on foot and on mass transit. That's how come they've had all these dang bike lanes, and they are a nuisance.
B and Puyallup wrote in to say, I'm 45. I don't know how to drive. So
wow.
Even older than we were talking about.
We were talking about younger kids not having driver's license. Mindy in Bothell says, I'm certainly not light railing it at night.
Interesting. I hadn't even contemplated that. It seems pretty well lit and pretty safe. But yeah, they're doing improved efforts to make them safer on light rail with more security and fair enforcements and all these different things. On recycling robots, Susan in Lakewood says, I'm very frustrated with the lack of recycling efforts in Lakewood. That's South Tacoma. The only hard plastic that can be recycled is that which has the opening smaller than the body. Wow, that's weird. Forget the triangle.
Area code 253. This person has a negative opinion about Recology. That's the company at the center of the story. I hear their truck drivers work 60 to 70 hours a week. They fire more drivers than they can keep. They'll just move the workers to drivers and eventually fire them for hitting stuff since they're overworked. We have no way of confirming this, but that's kind of a devastating critique of that work.
There was a story earlier about favorite children.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite child? Sandy in Kirkland says, my kids are grown, and I can honestly say that there were ways when each of them may have been my favorite, other days when each of them have been my least favorite. Over the years, the days have balanced out, and they are all now my favorite.
Oh, that's sweet. Chris in Marysville says, I have a mutual disdain. I have a mutual disdain for all my kids. Oh, the honesty.
What's Chris's last name?
I'm not going to say.
Amy says, I only have one kid. He is not my favorite.
Wow. Area code 206. My parents had 9 kids. Any one of them asked my dad, who's your favorite? And he would say, I can't stand any of you.
I love it. Goodfellows in the 206. Wow. I'm not sure what he's referring to. That goes against all the previous sociological and psychological studies that dads... Oh, we're talking about...
Dads and daughters, yeah.
Dads and daughters. It goes against all the psychological studies that dads and daughters get along better than sons and fathers. And they used to have sayings that a mother's son could do no wrong. I remember this. I have to share this. My mother told me growing up, your daughter's your daughter all the days of your life. Your son is your son till he gets him a wife.
Amen to that, brother. And this has to be the biggest topic of the day for you people, and I don't get this. Man versus gorilla. Gorilla versus 100 men. And you people came out of the jungle with response to this one. Graham in the 206 says, gorilla versus man depends on the man. Do they resemble The Rock, or are they more like Bill Gates?
Alan Seattle, crazy question. This is a crazy question. Humans in nature are only about as dangerous as a squirrel. There is no number of unarmed humans that could defeat a gorilla, since only a dozen or so could ever get in on the action at one time.
However, Mark in Seattle says TV wildlife guy Forrest Galante says that gorillas are strong but have very little stamina. So the first 30 guys would get destroyed, but the gorilla would get tired and the men would eventually win.
How do you choose who the first 30 are?
After you.
It's
the polite ones live.
Drawing straws.
Yeah. Then we shifted to what animal could you beat in a fair fight? Nate Connors, I'm going to ask you this. Take a second to think about it. If you had a fight, the story was, what would win, a gorilla or 100 men? And we asked, what animal could you beat in a fight? I'll give you a second to think about this.
Ferret.
You've been thinking about this a while. That was in your head fast. John and Bonnie Ferret. John and Bonnie Lake says a manatee. Good luck, because you got to wrestle them underwater. Okay.
Area code 360. My wife's Maltese if she was not around. It's terrible.
Let's see. Mike in Kirkland, we were talking about the Mayday, as he's pointing out, demonstrations. He said, would demonstration be the right word instead of protest? And I believe it would.
I think that is the right way to go.
Thank you for the correction.
With regard to tariffs, Susan in Lakewood says, our son is working at the port trying to go from a C to a B. I'm not sure the classification that means. It should have happened in February. He is very concerned. We are about his employment future.
B in Puyallup, the shortages at the Dollar Tree are due to lack of staff to stock the shelves. The Dollar Tree in my neighborhood has a total of 4 employees running the whole place.
Wow.
And Fish, pick us one more to go out with. Any topic.
Quick. How about Nick in the 253? I work for a union construction company that only builds warehouses. When Biden came in, we got laid off for 6 months due to fears of a recession. I clean out my truck every day waiting to get the no work message.
Yeah, we brought the story about how tariffs may impact local employment. We hope the best for all of you. We hope the best for this administration and their financial plans and their policies. We are done for the day. The John Curley Show is next, but I have terrible news. John Curley won't be here today. I will. Mike Lewis and I. I'm sorry, people. You thought it was over. You thought you made it through. Yeah. Mike Lewis and I will be bringing you the afternoon drive today. We'll see you right after these. Don't go anywhere.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation